Sanctuary of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Departure. After watching the crimson-haired girl leave the conference room, the door automatically closed, leaving the room still dimly lit. Zhou Wenshu then said, "That child was brought here by Mr. Pullen. She's indeed connected to this incident." He Duoxi understood. 8 years ago, Guan Ling, still an elementary school student, was brought here at that person's suggestion. At the time, she was a rather cold-hearted child, unlike her peers who were interested in many things. It seemed to be due to family circumstances, perhaps related to her parents' misfortune. Mr. Pullen arranged for the staff to provide her with some training, both in terms of professional knowledge and compulsory education. However, it wasn't going smoothly. Guan Ling would study, not out of a desire to learn, but rather to go through the motions. Her specialty was destruction, disassembly. It wasn't just about building an understanding of the machine's structure, it had other meanings. Perhaps driven by a desire for revenge, she destroyed 2 or 3 machines before losing interest. After about 3 years of training, she entered the staff field. Not many people could possibly understand her interests, or what she pursued. She simply existed here, partially connected to it. That was all. One morning, I received a message from the Holy Water Spirit Academy regarding the ruins exploration I'd discussed a while ago. It seemed to have concluded, and I'd likely be heading to the upper levels today to discuss the details. This might lead to a new mission, but I decided it would be best to go and see what was going on. That afternoon, I arrived at the upper levels and discussed my upcoming mission with the people there. It was indeed about exploring the ruins, searching for their location and what lay within, and what held significance within. The people above didn't tell me what it was, simply asking me to find it and unlock the new Azure Heart. I wondered if they knew about what Guan Ling had told me recently. The key hidden within the ruins, and the power it might possess, was unclear. Ultimately, I still didn't quite understand what the key was. It had no specific form or symbolic meaning. So, when searching for intangible objects, one often has to rely solely on intellect and intuition. For me, that's something I've gradually adapted to, and I no longer cling to the superficial aspects of things. That's it. Tomorrow's fine, right? I'll send the information to your email tonight. I understand. Let's do it. I'll make my own judgment based on the information, I said. After the conversation, I left the room and descended the elevator. I do receive quite a few missions like this, search and investigation missions. While there might not be any particular significance in them, I'll approach them with a more accepting attitude this time. Afterward, I spent a typical day at the academy. That evening, I returned to the student apartment with my sisters. I briefly discussed our plans with them, and if nothing unexpected happened, I'd probably go to the mission location tomorrow. They both seemed less than pleased with what I said. We met at the dinner table, facing each other. "Brother, are you here again?" Shuho said. "Well, there's nothing I can do. I didn't mean to do it. This time, it might be related to the raw stone," I said. "The raw stone is related to that special situation last time. That might be very dangerous, brother," Lan Yu said. Hearing this, I looked at Lan Yu and said, "Really? Your intuition is always accurate. Don't expect me to say anything good, brother. What happened to you is almost certainly bad," Lan Yu said bluntly. "Lan Yu, whether it's good or bad, as a cultivator, you should turn to the right direction. Isn't that correct?" I said. Hearing this, Lan Yu nodded slightly. "Yes, that's true. But as a piece of advice, be careful this time." "Really? This time might be a different experience," I said. Then we gradually finished our dinner. Afterwards, I helped clear the table and the leftover dishes, then returned to my room. Next, I turned on my computer and searched for the information I had received through my email. After entering the password, I opened the information sent by the Holy Water Spirit Academy. It roughly outlined the locations of the ruins, from near to far. The closest ones were within 3 locations, while the farther ones might even require a cross-country trip. It mentioned some related matters, and I'd likely be working alongside other search teams. This would be similar to camping in the countryside. The ruins investigation area was quite large, and it was difficult to determine how long it would take to find a single location. As I was reviewing the information, two figures suddenly appeared beside me, Shuho on the left and Lanai on the right. They were watching alongside me. Seeing this, I asked, "What are you two doing?" This was confidential information, so I couldn't mess around with it. Shuho, who was on the left, said, "I'm free, so I'm here to kill time." Then Lanai said, "I'm a little interested in this incident. Let's take a look." "Really? This information is confidential. It's not something that needs to be protected, but since you already know where I'm going, it's probably okay for you to take a look," I said. Sharing the information with them probably wouldn't be a problem. "Brother, you're very understanding," Shuho said. Lan Yu nodded in agreement. With that, the three of us reviewed the information about this mission. After briefly perusing it, Lan Yu said, "This trip might be quite long. I'd like to go if I could, but the time constraints make it difficult." "That's right. You should stay and take care of Shuho," I said. "Well, brother, I'm not that incapable of independence," Shuho said. "No, if Lan Yu isn't here either, you'll be fine on your own, right?" I asked. "That's a little bit. I've lived alone before, but let's not." "Sister, stay with me and wait," Shuho said. "Graduation isn't long anyway. Shuho and I will be here to watch over her," Lan Yu said. Shuho, as a radiant form, often makes people uneasy, but her presence is truly reassuring. "If you say that, I have nothing to worry about," I said, and then I closed the information on the computer screen. "Brother, we are about to embark on a journey from which we might not return for a long time. I'm so lonely," Shuho said, tugging at the corner of my shirt. "It's cold now, isn't it? I hope spring arrives soon," I said. "Winters here are bitterly cold." "That's right, why don't we sleep together tonight?" Shuho said. "You really haven't grown up," I said. Shuho, Xingze has always been like this. "If it's cold, just use that heat pack," Lanai said. "Really? Better than that, brother and sister," Shuho said bluntly. "That's the way the brats do it." "Xingze and I have grown up," Lanai said. At this point, I reached out and stroked their heads, saying, "All right, go ahead." They understood and left shortly afterwards. Thus ended our evening's conversation. The next day, as daylight gradually grew, I woke and went to the bathroom. Lanai had finished before me, and that morning went on as usual. We finished breakfast and went our separate ways. Lanai on one side, Shuho and I on the other. We each went our separate ways. Shuho and I were closer to the academy, while Lanai was a little further away, but that wasn't a problem. Although today wasn't a significant day, I felt something amiss. I didn't quite understand what it was. Soon, we arrived at the academy. After I walked Shuho to class, I prepared to leave. I didn't have to attend classes today, so I went to class as usual. Before leaving, Xingze asked, "Xingze, are you going on a mission today?" "Yes, classes are suspended," I nodded. "I've always felt that way." "Have a good trip," Xingze said politely. I nodded and walked past Xingze, who was standing next to me. Xingze is one of those people with great insight, and if she could use her abilities, it would be even more so. She was actually well suited to this kind of mission. After a while, I left the classroom and prepared to head upstairs. My first stop was the storage room. I ascended the 10th floor and headed for the storage room. Opening the door and stepping inside, I immediately saw Guanling, a young woman with long crimson hair. She was accompanied by a caretaker on a mission today. Today's mission was Shi Yufan. Guanling waved at me. Confused, I approached and asked, "What's up? Do you have a mission, too, Xingze?" "I'm going with you today to explore the ruins," Guanling said. Really, I wondered if it was her fault. It had been ages since I'd been on a mission with Guanling, but this time seemed like it would be the same. "Do you two have any objections? Today you're traveling together. If you're okay, get ready to go," Shi Yufan said. I agreed and prepared to depart. Guanling chuckled and followed me. Shi Yufan led us to the academy's rooftop. Next, we'd search for the Mecha, the Azure Heart, which was required for the mission. We followed teacher Shi Yufan for a while before arriving at the snow-white cabin. She quickly opened it, and the wondrous, shimmering azure blue machine appeared before my eyes once more. In the sunlight, it shone with a brilliant white-blue brilliance, seemingly a natural creation despite being a machine. "It's ready for deployment at any time." "Go ahead," Shi Yufan said. I then stepped out of the machine's open hatch, leaping in 2 steps while Guanling climbed up the nearby rope ladder. We arrived inside the cabin one after another, and the two of us were relatively safe inside. Having confirmed our initial destination, I immediately closed the hatch, activated the machine's kinetic energy, and set off towards the sky tunnel. Chapter 227 Snow Mountain. We were inside the aircraft, initially heading southwest. Our first target was near India, one of several potential ruin sites, a bit further from our current location. The location we were heading to was indicated on the internal navigation map. At our current speed, we were expected to reach the vicinity of our target location in 1 hour and 50 minutes. Guanling and I both understood this. Our arrival time was still quite a while, and we weren't in danger of being late. We planned to meet at a target location around noon. There are closer locations for us, but why this one? I asked. Guanling replied, perhaps because they're short on manpower, so they've sent us here. She pointed to the Ladakh Mountains. It's quite far. Do you have any ideas about the search for the ruins? I asked. She hesitated slightly, then said, no, I also want to confirm the location of the ruins, so we continued southwestward toward our target, a gathering point along a river in the Ladakh Mountains. This machine's performance is efficient and stable. The Azure Heart's interior is an incredible structure, shimmering with a multicolored gemstone light. It gives me a great feeling. As a pilot, I think this machine is excellent. This is the first time I've seen a machine with such a shimmering interior and exuding a natural fragrance, Guanling exclaimed after spending some time in the cabin. Yes, this is my second time too. If a machine like this had appeared before, I wouldn't have wanted to destroy it. It's truly remarkable, Guanling said to herself. This is the latest invention, seemingly a long time in the making, and it's still undisclosed. After that, I piloted the Azure Heart, heading southwest towards the Ladakh Mountains. It took over an hour. We were getting closer to our target location, and we could already see the mountain range in the distance. Layers of snow covered the mountains above, and it was clear that it was cold there too. Being in the high mountains, it was probably even colder than where we'd been before. Snow drifted everywhere around the mountains. We were heading towards the lower riverbed. We were approaching our target location, and we expected to land in 3 minutes. The aircraft gradually descending towards the land below. Guanling had already fastened her seatbelt, and we descended smoothly. The aircraft performed well, coming to rest on the ground beside a river. We then emerged from the aircraft one after another. As we stepped onto the ground, we could feel the chill of the air. Above us, clouds and mist shrouded the surrounding mountains. This was near a river in the lower reaches of the Ladakh Mountains. The time was 11:15, and we still had between half an hour and an hour until rendezvous. The air here is really nice, Guanling remarked. It had a refreshing, chilly, natural scent. You're right. We still have some time before rendezvous. The specific location should be not far away. Let's go, I said. I landed here to observe the landscape. I've already spent quite a bit of time in the aircraft. Upon hearing this, Guanling followed me, and we headed towards the other side of the river. The aircraft had remote control capabilities, allowing me to take direct control. Flying overhead, according to lead researcher Joe Wenshu, this metric can help us locate the ruins, sometimes acting like radar. He'd told me so before, so I decided to do the same. We continued along the river's edge, following a winding road for a distance. Before long, we saw a nice open space ahead, with some barracks. That was probably the search team's base. It was quite secluded, with a few mechas stationed nearby. We headed there one after another, and soon encountered the mission execution team waiting there. A man in a hooded coat and gloves saw us and asked, "Who are you?" "We're from the Holy Water Spirit Academy, assigned to this search mission," I said, showing my credentials. The man took one look and understood. "Really? Have the backup arrived? Let's rest for a while at the nearby camp. The mountains are high and very cold here, so it's best to acclimate first to avoid any adverse reactions, which could be troublesome." "Thank you very much for your advice," he said, and we looked toward the nearby camp. "There's room on the left. You've come here, and you should know we're from the Special Forces of Area 1, the man said. "Well, ruins exploration is a special operation, requiring confidentiality and caution," I said. "Yes, I'm Gaotian. Please advise me," the man said. "I'm Li Xingze." Guanling and I introduced ourselves and then began to wait. It seemed that quite a few personnel were still searching and hadn't returned yet. We were scheduled to spend the afternoon here before conducting a series of searches. We waited at the barracks beneath a rock for about half an hour when we saw some figures approaching from a distance. Their clothing resembled those of the people remaining at the barracks, suggesting they were the group who had gone out that morning to search for the ruins. Soon, they arrived at the barracks. Mr. Takada, who had been talking to us, stood up and said, "Aren't you a little late?" Upon hearing this, one of the men said, "On the way back, we were attacked by an unidentified creature. One of our members was nearly in danger." "Unidentified creature? What is that?" Takada asked. "No, we actually encountered one on the way. It looked like a yeti or something, but we can't identify it," another man said. "Never mind, let's get lunch first and report back later," Takada said. Everyone nodded, and they returned to the barracks to put away some tools and wait for lunch. Judging from the conversation, Mr. Takada was probably a team leader or manager. More noteworthy were the unidentified creatures. Speaking of them, I often think of Warcraft, but we shouldn't make that assumption. There are many other unidentified creatures. Afterward, Guanling and I enjoyed lunch as arranged. We later observed that Mr. Takada was the team leader, responsible for cooking, and also for staying behind and delivering messages. A light snow fell during lunch, and we planned to depart around 1:30 p.m. after lunch. Chapter 228 Exploration Phase. After lunch, Guanling and I listened to the search team's current search intel and their upcoming route, which gave us some ideas for where to go and what to do next. We were scheduled to ascend the mountain at 1:30 p.m. for a new round of search. According to the team members, the search for the ruins had only recently begun, and aside from previously discovered ruins, no new ones had yet been found. Therefore, we needed to work hard in the near future. Intelligence suggests that this mountain range exhibits a unique energy signature. After summarizing the search intel around noon, around 1:30 p.m., we prepared to embark on our afternoon journey. We were following a team of approximately 20 people. This included a 6-man team ascending the mountain by helicopter, as well as a mech unit. We could skip the previously explored routes and proceed to the higher mountain paths for a new round of exploration. The exploration locations were marked on the map, and we chose to enter the mech and ascend, following the team's progress for a while. The troops advanced in an orderly, circular, and gradual manner. It took us about 10 minutes to reach a snow-covered uphill path. We immediately exited the cabin and returned to the snowy mountainside. The chilly wind whipped through, making the weather particularly cold. I wore a black jacket, and Guanling wore a gray jumpsuit with a hood. Next, we'll split into 2 groups to search the route. The 10 of us and I will go to the right, and you will go to the left, one of the team leaders said. "Are your communicators and search equipment all working?" he added. Everyone checked, and everything appeared to be fine. We set out to the left. After confirming everything, the team split into 2 groups. The search tools are spatial sensors that can detect hidden areas, such as those obscured by our naked eyes. The remains of the exploration team's mission are likely hidden, so we'll use these tools to explore. Our team currently consists of 12 people. We headed towards the left mountain path, which leads to the other mountain range. One is in the direction of the Himalayas, and the other is the Karakoram Mountains. This mountain range is located between the 2 highest peaks. We're currently exploring with a team of 12, which seems a bit too many, so we'll probably split up at some point. This will improve efficiency. And just as I expected, when we reached the fork in the road, the team leader there seemed to suggest splitting up, each in groups of at least 2, at least. They were required to stay in contact within half an hour. This sealed the deal for Guanling and me. We could continue working together, but it was our choice. I was at a loss for what to choose. The lead researcher said we were the key to finding the ruins, and the real key lay in my azure heart. There's still unexplored territory over there. Let's go there, Guanling said to the team leader ahead of us. Oh, it's quite steep over there. Are you new guys okay? No problem. We have the newest suits, highly adaptable. We'll take that one, Guanling said, and the team leader agreed. Guanling came over to me and said, "Let's continue the exploration in groups of 2, really?" I understand. With the situation now at its peak, I had nothing more to say. Working in groups of 2 wasn't a problem, it was a good option for the mission assigned to us by the Academy. Soon, we boarded the mech and activated it. First ascending the steep path above. We could even choose to continue exploring within the mech. The Azure Heart was reacting to the energy in the ruins, a response that would likely be much more efficient than the exploration team's blanket search. The Azure Heart quickly ascended to the top of the mountain, and now it was time to explore. Let's explore around here. Maybe we'll find something, Guanling said. Yes, the mech was reacting to that energy. At the time, the energy was in full bloom, so even Yuan, thousands of miles away, could sense it. This suggests the mech is sensing the intensity or changes in that specific energy, I said. If that's the case, let's use it like radar, driving the mech forward. If I'm not mistaken, our efficiency will be far greater than that of the exploration team, therefore, from now on, it's time to let go a little, accelerate the machine, and scan every location here. I'm unsure of its range, but it feels like it has a radius of about 100 meters. I don't think I'll miss anything, so I fly at high speed over the snowy mountain, with a subtle sense of distance. The original spirit has become one with the machine, which makes my perception even clearer. The current blanket search method will be no problem. At this rate, we can quickly complete the task of 100 people in a day, Guanling said. That's right, but no matter how fast we go, it's meaningless if we can't find it. The key is the target's reaction, I said. It's okay, we should be able to find it, Guanling encouraged. I think so, and Guanling is even more convinced. She's consulted Pulin for information, and the existence of the ruins should be confirmed. The machine flew in a circle around the snowy mountain, as if circling it, from top to bottom. This speed is a bit thrilling. I can't handle it, Guanling said, clutching her head. Really? That's rare. Guanling looked genuinely overwhelmed by the high-speed flight. Faced with such a rare occurrence, I was also somewhat surprised. After all, she's human. Then I slowed down. Thank you, Guanling said with some effort. Are you okay? I couldn't help but say, I'm fine. After slowing down, I continued my exploration. During further search, suddenly, the core of the Azure Heart reacted with energy, radiating a blue light. The light flickered, and I stopped my high-speed flight and settled in the vicinity. Are you reacting? That's what it seems. Can you confirm the direction? Guanling asked. Based on the energy reaction, I could now roughly sense the energy source, judging by its strength, somewhere to the west. Soon, I confirmed the direction of the energy source, a short distance below, in a dangerous area leading to a valley to the west. Over there, under that withered tree, I said, pointing to a spot on the side display. Really? Let's go check it out. As I spoke, we slowly approached that spot. The gleam of light grew increasingly intense, as if signaling our approach to our target. Go down, Guanling said again. That's right, as we neared the target, we all jumped out of our mechas. The view is cold and uninhabited. The mechas continued to fly slowly overhead, approaching the target, and we followed them across the snow. As we approached the center, a snowy slope stretched out before me, presumably at the foot of the mountain. The terrain ahead was not very good. It was indeed a place few people ventured to. Seeing the difficult terrain, I jumped down. The steep uphill slope before me made me slip. Fortunately, I managed to keep my footing and landed smoothly on the snowy ground below. Guanling then leaped down, landing with remarkable skill and a steady, 8-point grace. We continued forward. Ahead, there was a rocky outcrop. It seemed like a dead end, but the Azure Heart was flying in that direction, so perhaps there was something there, not a path nearby, but somewhere near the rock. Just like archaeological work sometimes requires dismantling rocks. I used the spirit attached to the Azure Heart to confirm the approximate location and reached out to touch the snow-covered rock face. Then, I pulled out my exploration tool, which reacted, indicating a path within, not a sealed rock formation. Looks like it's nearby. Let's retreat, I said, motioning Guanling to follow. We agreed and retreated a distance. The blue machine then charged forward, wielding a white-blue sword in its backhand, creating an opening there. The impact, followed by the sword's withdrawal, stirred the snow beneath, sending it crashing down with the rocks. The surroundings were instantly obscured by white dust. Soon, a cave-like entrance became visible before us. That's it, Guanling said. Yeah, it should be, I said. We all agreed it was definitely there. Let's go in and take a look, Guanling suggested. I agreed, thinking we should go in and confirm, so I nodded. As we were about to head toward the cave, our communicator started buzzing. I took it out and saw it was someone from the exploration team calling. The rule was indeed that they had to contact each other every hour and a half. So I answered. There were several ways to contact them, such as 3 long beeps or direct calls. How is it going? DC-1, DC-2, the captain said. It's fine, what's the situation? It seems we've found a potential location for ruins, I replied. Really? Where is it? We reported our location to the team leader. We weren't sure what the cave was like, but we told him anyway, since we had our locators. The team leader said we should wait for a while near where we were, just in case we ran into any danger. Entering an unknown cave in this deep mountain area was dangerous. Deep caves often harbor unexpected things that could put people in danger. We followed our team leader's instructions, waiting for the team to arrive. Really? Why don't we go in first? Waiting for them is such a waste of time, said Guanling, who was standing next to the cave with me. Okay, don't say that. The key point isn't here, I said. Then we silently waited for the team to arrive on the snowy ground. Chapter 229, Dark Cave. Sometime later, several explorers arrived by helicopter. The helicopter landed, and 6 people emerged. One of them, a small bearded man wearing a winter hat, approached us, surveyed the cave, and asked, "Is that it?" "Yes, this area is indeed a hidden, undiscovered cave, worth exploring," the team leader said after surveying the terrain. 5 people followed him. Team leader Lilei checked the time, seeing that there was still plenty of time to search. He asked, "Have you prepared your supplies for the cave?" Upon hearing this, the others confirmed, "No problem, then let's get ready to go," said team leader Lilei. He lit a candle and threw it into the dark cave. After a few seconds, the candle's flame remained blazing, and he instructed us to prepare to depart. Led by Lilei, we entered the cave one after another. Several people nearby, some with headlights and others with handheld ones, illuminated the dimly lit path as they cautiously advanced. Guanling and I followed behind. Considered newcomers, we felt it was best to follow behind for now. Accidents often happen in caves, especially for the newcomers at the back. "Be careful," the team leader said. We nodded in agreement. As the group ahead of us used their flashlights to illuminate the surroundings and survey the cave, a sudden swarm of bats flew overhead. Perhaps the flashlights caught the bats hanging upside down in the cave ceiling, startling them. A few of them were startled, but I was fine, having already noticed. After the brief commotion, we continued on, heading deeper into the cave. A corner opened up ahead. Led by the more experienced Captain Lilei, the others followed cautiously, observing the surroundings. Passing the corner revealed what appeared to be a wider area. Inside, illuminated by the flashlights, we could see numerous red and blue crystals, suggesting this place had been hidden for a long time and possessed abundant resources. "This is," one member sighed, "an unknown place. Regardless, it looks vast. Perhaps the ruins are somewhere within this cave," Lilei intuitively judged. "It's quite touching. This is the first time I've seen a place like this," another member said. "There seem to be several viable paths ahead, but it's best to explore these places one by one. My feeling is, let's go to the one directly ahead." Team leader Lilei said this as he saw a deep path ahead. Everyone agreed. So, they pressed forward once more. The deeper they went, the more mysterious it felt. Continuing forward seemed to carry some risk, as the path ahead was filled with a heavy, gloomy aura. Regardless, they had no choice but to keep going. The team leader led the way, heading further into the cave. We followed behind. Ahead was a slightly sloping downhill slope. We followed the team leader. At a point ahead, the ground was slippery, and the team leader slipped because the ground was uneven. Luckily, Lilei, a professional, didn't slip. After a few steps, he found his balance inside. He hadn't noticed the pothole ahead, and his first step missed, causing him to fall forward into a pit. Team leader, seeing this, the members behind hurried forward to check on the team leader. He had fallen into the pit, looking dusty but okay. "It's okay, I'm fine. Help me up," the team leader said from the bottom of the pit, reaching up and being pulled out. This is a lesson. In such precarious places, where we don't know what lies ahead, we must always be careful. The team leader, demonstrating his own strength, taught everyone a lesson. Everyone nodded, skirting the pothole and continuing deeper into the path. Continuing forward, one member said, "Come to think of it, it's quite deep down here. That's what I felt when we reached the wide fork in the cave," another member said. As we advanced, a sudden gust of cold wind blew from the front, as if something were approaching. At that moment, I sensed something approaching. Suddenly, a dark figure streaked through the air, striking the upturned leader in the face with a strike of either hand or foot. Then, like a whirlwind, it struck several members behind us who had been distracted, sending them stumbling and collapsing in a flash. Two of them, alert enough to deflect the attack, fell to the ground. Guanling and I did the same, both on guard, so it didn't have a chance to strike us from behind. "What is that?" a fallen member exclaimed in surprise. "A monster of some kind," Guanling said. At that moment, I truly felt the approach of a demonic beast. "What should we do?" another member said. "Judging from the current situation, you should get those four out of here first," I said. Now, observing the four people lying unconscious on the ground, including the captain, they only showed signs of being struck, though they were still breathing. They were likely knocked unconscious by the unexpected attack. Therefore, getting them out was the right option. "That's right. Even the captain is down, so we can continue exploring the cave," a member said. After some discussion, we decided to retreat temporarily. We returned the way we came, each taking the four unconscious people with us. The return route was marked in case we got lost in the cave, so we followed the signs. We continued back the way we came, passing through the tunnels and gradually reaching the wide fork in the road we had previously taken. Nearby, there were many crystals. This meant we had reached a sort of transit station, not far from the cave's exterior. As we headed towards that point, one of the members seemed to see something, a dark figure, roughly humanoid, on the wide road not far away. The remote cave was pitch black, making identification difficult. When the member turned the flashlight on the target, it flashed by and headed off in the other direction. "That was," the member said, a little apprehensively. "That's the guy who attacked us earlier," Guanling said. "No way. We've encountered unidentified creatures before. I wonder if they were the same group," another member said. "I'll go check it out. I think I know where that guy is going," Guanling added, letting go of the team leader's hand that was holding mine. "Guanling, do you know who that guy is?" I asked. "I think I have some idea. I'll go check it out," Guanling said, suddenly heading in the direction the black figure had gone. "Wait, that's dangerous. Even the four of us can't defeat this monster, and you alone," one member shouted. "You're that person's companion, right? Go and talk to her," another member directed the conversation to me. Hearing this, I said, "That's right. Why don't you let me go too? In that case, can you guys leave the cave first?" Hearing my words, the two remaining members who were still able to move looked at the four who were unable to move. After a moment's hesitation, one of them said, "No problem. We can find a way to get those four out, but that little girl. Let me go with her." "That's good. Let's divide the work," I said. After considering it, the two of them agreed and nodded. After confirming my decision, I headed towards where Guanling had gone and caught up with her. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Dark Cave. I changed course, heading in the direction Guanling had gone, and said goodbye to the two exploration members there. I began to speed up. The two members had already requested support from outside. They dragged the four of us onto a stretcher and pulled us out of the cave. I focused on the direction Guanling had gone, which led to another passage. I approached it, but couldn't see her. Using my flashlight to explore the path, I found no one for a distance ahead. I was probably a step too late. Guanling was moving faster. So, I had no choice but to speed up and catch up. So, I continued to advance deeper into the second passage, accelerating as I went. It was difficult to determine Guanling's whereabouts. She had probably already gone far. Despite being unable to determine her location, I continued to follow. I had decided to follow and see what was going on. I continued forward, passing a nearby corner. There was still no sign of Guanling, or any other traces of her, ahead. However, there were two branching paths for me to choose from. Not far away, there were two passages, one to the left and one to the right. I paused before reaching a branch. I couldn't tell which way to go, or which Guanling might be heading for. With little time to choose, I chose the left passage and headed deeper into the cave. I wasn't sure which was the right path, but I chose it. So, there was no need to hesitate. I'd just go all the way to the end and see if it made sense. With this in mind, I continued to accelerate. I ran along the dark passage on the left. The terrain was uneven, with occasional potholes. I carefully advanced deeper into the cave, keeping up with Guanling first. I wondered what she was going to do. I moved quickly through the passage without encountering any obstacles. Instead, the deeper I went, the more mysterious it felt. It was a strange feeling, but it also seemed to carry some risks. I had no choice but to move forward. After walking along the passage for a long distance, I passed a winding path and sensed a shadowy presence not far ahead. I continued straight ahead without stopping. As I passed through a cave entrance, I gradually discerned a dark figure ahead. It didn't look human. I shone my flashlight, illuminating the creature. It had dark gray skin, a patch of hair, and a piercing gaze. It lay on all fours, about the size of a lion. While it certainly resembled a demonic beast, it was somewhat different in type. According to Xingze, who taught me during my training at Fengai Dojo, it was a yaksha. These monsters have existed since ancient times and come in many varieties. The one before me was likely one of those rare creatures that dwell deep in caves. Some are dangerous and prey on humans. Concluding it was a yaksha, the monster I encountered wasn't the black figure Guanling was chasing. This conclusion only meant I was still some distance away from finding her. At that moment, the dark gray yaksha before me bared its sharp teeth and spitted at its mouth, proving it was no pushover. I drew my sword, swung it, and it continued to approach. Suddenly, it lunged, its legs proving powerful. Seeing this, I sidestepped and struck with a slash of azure light, sending it careening through the air and tumbling to the side of the rock face. The yaksha was still able to move. The previous blow, while powerful, wasn't enough to stun it. It seemed to possess considerable resilience. The yaksha gradually rose from the ground and faced me again, seemingly intent on me. I unleashed my might, a faint glow emanating from my body, the power of a divine spell. Seeing this, the yaksha realized it wasn't a suitable prey or a formidable opponent, so it turned and fled. That might be its home, but for now, I could only interrupt it. Having come this far, whether to advance or retreat was a difficult decision. If we were encountering yaksha ahead, Guanling might not be on this route. After a moment's hesitation, a voice suddenly urged me to continue. It was the voice of the primordial spirit, so I briefly chose to continue deeper. I didn't understand the significance of continuing, but at that moment, I decided to press on. Passing the route ahead, guarded by yaksha, I continued, heading deeper into the cave. Gradually, I sensed a sense of mystery ahead. Something lay not far ahead, the primordial spirit guiding me there. After passing a section of the road ahead, I spotted a faint, deep blue light shimmering ahead. It might be the ruins, the place the exploration team was looking for. Faced with a choice of left or right, Guanling chose right. Deep on the right was where the black figure had left. Guanling sensed this and chose to head right. Guanling's reason for going there was that she'd sensed a similar aura. It felt like she needed to confirm it, perhaps even helping the mission. Knowing who the other person was might hold some significance. Intuitively, Guanling decided to check it out, so she went. She could sense the other person's presence, and they were moving quickly toward the other passage. For some reason, perhaps it was a draw. She continued along the right passage, and after a while, she gradually reached the exit. Not far away, there was a light, presumably the exit to the outside world. She took a step forward, and a moment later, she reached the other end of the cave. Outside, a white glow still shone. This was the other side of the snow-capped mountains, and she had unknowingly arrived there. What had drawn Guanling there was that scent. Not far away, a man with long hair stood on the edge of the cliff. Noticing the arrival of someone, he turned and looked in her direction, their gaze meeting for a moment. "Are you chasing me?" the long-haired man asked. Hearing this, Guanling replied, "You have a repulsive odor, is that why you're chasing me?" "Why, over there in the cave, did you attack those people again?" Guanling retorted. "HMPH, do I need to tell you this?" the man said dismissively. "Even if you don't want to tell me, I have a way to find out." Guanling spoke, her hand flashing red, and a red sword appeared. "Anyway, you're a monster, right? Where did you come from? What do you want?" Guanling continued. "That's quite ferocious." "I'm just waiting here," the long-haired man said. Suddenly, a small black spot appeared at the long-haired man's feet. The spot gradually changed, like an open door, revealing a large eye, resembling the eye of a monster. The demonic eye. Suddenly, a black object extended from the eye, striking like a black snake, and the long-haired man leaped back. What is that? It's truly terrifying. Since you want to fight, I'll play along and bury you. As the long-haired man spoke, a black mist gradually emanated from his body. Then, at a breakneck speed, he approached, his face indistinct, like a shadow. Guanling parried the charge with her sword. Though she couldn't see his face, she had a firm grasp of his trajectory. The fiery red blade collided with the shadow, sparks flying. The powerful impact of the shadow forced Guanling to move sideways, like flowing water. The shadow then charged forward for a distance, touching the ground mid-flight, changing course and charging again. This time, it was even more dynamic, moving at high speed and shifting course as it approached, leaving Guanling's attempts to meet his red blade in vain. Instead, it attacked from the side, a move Guanling dodged. Immediately, the long black shadow's perimeter swirled like a violent storm, its black air swirling with considerable force. Dark balls of fire emanated from its surroundings, their impact force, power, and speed proving extraordinary. Guanling continued to distance herself, dark balls of fire scattering across the snow, creating small craters. Her speed narrowly avoided the multiple attacks. But Guanling was heading toward the cliff, and the path ahead was almost blocked. She reached the edge and paused, having confirmed the range and power of the attack. At the cliff's edge, Guanling gently swung her red sword, a faint crimson glow emanating from it. Several black holes appeared in the sky before her, like rifts in space. From each hole stretched a black rope, a dynamic, tethered rope, that formed a net, intercepting the approaching shadow. The net, as if possessing a suction force, gradually stopped the swirling vortex surrounding the shadow. The long-haired man, emanating a faint black aura, now appeared before Guanling. "What is this?" the man asked. Demon eyes. After this, several terrifying eyes gradually opened within the stripes on the black web. These demon eyes, along with the black lines surrounding them, gradually absorbed the man's energy. In a short moment, the long-haired man's body weakened, his energy drained away, leaving him powerless to resist. "Not a demon, you're a subordinate of some demon king lurking in this land, a humanoid," Guanling said. "Damn it," the long-haired man muttered. Soon, the energy drained to its limit, and the black web gradually vanished. The man's face had become blurry, his form barely visible, and he fell to the snow. "Not interested. Don't interfere with us. Tell them this, perhaps they've already seen it," Guanling said, and headed towards the cave. Chapter 231 Discovering the Whereabouts of the Ruins. A deep cavern shimmered with a faint blue light, a sense of wonder lingered within. Perhaps it was a relic, and the relic I sought was no ordinary one. There was a profound connection between the primordial stone, the primordial spirit, and nature. I wondered if it held the key. I began to walk towards it, putting the previous incident behind me. As I walked deeper and deeper, I could gradually sense the radiance of the primordial stone within me. The primordial stone glowing was a rare sight, and Kyle, the primordial spirit, offered no explanation. We simply depended on each other. This place was enigmatic, compelling me to delve deeper. Was it a relic? What was its significance? I gradually entered the cavern, shimmering with a faint deep blue light. The surroundings felt like seawater. As I walked deeper, through the winding path ahead, I discovered a vaster chamber. Just as before, the surroundings shone with the same faint deep blue light, and stone surrounded them on all sides. I continued to advance deeper, advancing, approaching the rock face ahead. Arriving at the edge of the deeper rock face, I continued to walk along the edge. There was a path further inside. I continued forward, passing the detour there, and finally reached the deepest point. Ahead stood a stone platform, gleaming with light. Behind the platform was a rock wall covered with murals depicting strange shapes, remarkably similar to the structural diagrams I'd seen within the ruins on the upper floors of the Holy Water Spiritual Academy. At first glance, I couldn't understand what it was, but it was imbued with a mysterious power. This was undoubtedly the ruins. However, reaching this point was already the end, and I hadn't found the key. If there was one, perhaps it would appear on the stone platform before me. But if not, there was nothing I could do. Soon after, a call came in, and I informed the explorers that the ruins had been found. Soon after, many troops arrived. I greeted them and then departed. Later, the troops also located Guanling, and we met again outside the cave. After we met, Guanling said, "It's amazing you found the ruins," she chuckled. It's just a coincidence. Where did you go? I asked. Chasing that black shadow. What happened? It was a monster. It was very similar to the monster we encountered before. Perhaps it was a companion, Guanling said. Really? Why did you chase it? I asked. Perhaps catching up with it might yield some clues, but the angle didn't reveal anything. But you found it, didn't you? That's good, Guanling chuckled. Hearing that, my doubts were gone. The ruins had been found, at least the ruins that might be hidden within this mountain range had been found. The troops were certain of this. It had taken nearly an entire afternoon. It was already dusk, and because the ruins had been located, the search team hadn't been able to regroup at the foot of the mountain as scheduled. But for us, there was nothing left to find, so we boarded the Azure Heart and headed towards the foot of the mountain. It wasn't long before we arrived at the camp where Mr. Takata was waiting. Guanling and I disembarked from the machine and headed towards the camp. After a few steps, we spotted Takata, who had spotted us. As we approached, Takata asked, "Are you back? I heard they've found the ruins in this area, and those guys seem fascinated by what's in sight and are exploring." "Really? But we decided to return early for dinner," I said. "I heard you were the first to discover the ruins, and you haven't made much of a fuss." "That's a big accomplishment, isn't it?" Takata asked. Hearing this, I added, "I went inside the ruins, but there wasn't anything particularly noteworthy. It's very cold, and I want to start a fire and eat as soon as possible." "Right, it's ready. Go enjoy it first. I don't want to worry about the ones who come later if their food gets cold," Takata said. Then we headed to the dining room for dinner. The troops in the first area, having found their way, seemed to have a lot of reporting and record-keeping to do, which would probably take quite a while. Afterward, we contacted the higher-ups at the Holy Water Spirit Academy, who are our superiors. I contacted the lead researcher, Zhou. "I heard they've found the location of the ruins." "Is that thanks to you?" the researcher said as soon as we connected. "So you already know? The intelligence network is truly amazing. It only took half a day, right?" "That machine is indeed responsible," the researcher continued. "As you said, the Azure Heart does have a special ability to locate the ruins. That's why it didn't take us long to find it," I said. "I see." Zhou nodded on the other end of the line and added, "Haven't you found the key yet?" "Yes, I see. I'll send you the next location later. If this experiment is successful, I'll help you come up with a better itinerary," Zhou said. "I see. Please, don't push us too hard then, let's spend the night there. We'll have a new itinerary starting tomorrow. Please advise," Zhou said, and ended the call. After dinner, Guanling and I wandered around the camp. We had rooms for the night, but we had to wait for the search team to return. "Guanling, why are you joining me on this mission this time?" I suddenly asked her. "Is it strange that I'm doing something with you?" Guanling looked at me and asked back. "No, I just suddenly had the urge to ask," I said. This kind of thing rarely happened before, but this time, something felt a little strange. "Don't ask, there's nothing to ask. Isn't it wonderful that I'm doing a mission with you?" Guanling said. "Really? You're not wrong," I said. I had some questions that puzzled me, and even Guanling's conversations couldn't answer them. After that, our relationship returned to a more or less normal state. My questions often triggered a different reaction when they touched her breaking point. What was that? Why? I couldn't understand. Not long after, the exploration team returned. They began to brief the intelligence officer on their findings today, and then had dinner. Guanling returned to the barracks alone. She had something different in mind, a purpose for her actions, and a motivation that stood apart from everyone else. Today, she laid down in the barracks, alone, pondering what she needed to do and whether it conflicted with the present. These thoughts troubled her for a moment. However, she believed that what needed to be done would probably not change. Chapter 232 Next Target. After spending the night at the foot of the Ladakh Mountains, the exploration team planned to continue exploring the ruins the next day. For Guanling and I, staying here no longer made sense. We were heading for the next hidden location. As planned, at 7 in the morning, a message arrived from the Holy Water Spirit Academy, relaying our upcoming itinerary. The itinerary was set around this area. Around the border, there are approximately 3 locations. We would search for potential ruins, starting from the closest and ending at the furthest. Our goal was undoubtedly the key. The key's identity remained unknown. All we knew was to continue searching for the next hidden locations. According to the information we received, we'd received permission from multiple exploration teams to enter and exit each hidden location at will, joining them. This permission was a special permission granted by the first area. Perhaps the lead researcher's theory had impressed the higher-ups within the first area, allowing us greater freedom of movement. The original plan was to arrive at the second location before noon today. Guanling and I were scheduled to depart at 8 a.m. We had breakfast before then, said goodbye to Takata, and prepared to enter the machine and set off for our next target location. The machine started up, a faint blue light flashing as it slowly ascended into the air, then headed in another direction, somewhere outside the new century capital. If we can successfully locate the ruins, we might cover multiple searches, Guanling said. That's right. What are your thoughts on this? I asked. Hearing my question, Guanling sighed and said, let's go find it. We need to find the key, right? That would be perfect for us, although the workload would be a bit later. Really? The second location is a little further outside the new century capital. With these words, our new round of exploration of the ruins began. The designated investigation site begins in the desert area, a little outside the new century capital. Our search area encompasses a long stretch of the Irtysh River, surrounding the river. The area encompasses numerous green forests and surrounding mountains, making the search area quite large. This search area had been underway for a week, but nothing had been found so far. This might be a good start for our intervention. We arrived before noon. Because of our previous search in the Ladakh Mountains, this time, we could simply communicate via radio and meet with irrelevant personnel. After identifying ourselves, we could immediately begin our independent search phase. Because of the vastness of this area, our work would be far more complex. Our search began at noon, starting in the green forests at the border and circling inwards, akin to a blanket search. However, with the special abilities of the Azure Heart Mecha, our search area was much larger than a human search and far more efficient than a full-scale operation. We spent half a day conducting a sweeping, high-speed search of the area, but nothing was found. In the evening, we returned to our camp by the river, rested, ate, and reported on our search intelligence. The day gradually ended. Guanling and I clearly worked well together on this mission. The next day, we continued our search across a vast area. That night, we planned our next search sequence, roughly divided into 4 locations, for a total of approximately 6. The search team had already largely exhausted 2 of these locations. The remaining 4 locations were our next targets. Each location would take at least a day, and the planned time for the investigation here was 5 to 6 days. Therefore, we followed our plan and began our exploration today with one of the 4 locations, the mountainous area. We spent most of the day exploring, about 8 hours, until sunset, when we returned to camp. Still no leads were found. The next day, we planned to explore the area surrounding the waterway connecting to the river and up to where it crossed the border. This was still our sole decision, and we would report any information we found to the team. Unfortunately, this mission afforded us greater freedom, but this also meant a greater workload. And so we spent another day, and then 2, 3, 4, and by the morning of the 5th day, we had essentially concluded our search for ruins along this vast stretch of the Irtysh River border. While we were done, the results weren't satisfactory. We hadn't found the ruins, and the troops were not entirely satisfied with our report. From our perspective, there was a high probability that there weren't any ruins here. Perhaps there was a problem with their previous exploration location, and the ruins were likely outside their search range. Even if we reported this, they wouldn't accept it. We simply stumbled upon a ruined site, and it was ours that deemed it unreliable. Despite spending nearly a week here, we still found nothing. I reported the situation to the Holy Water Spiritual Academy and planned to move on to the next potential ruin site. The troops here will undoubtedly continue, and if there are any, it's up to them. Although I think the possibility is very low, I have no right to interfere. At noon that day, we had lunch and said goodbye to the troops here. We're here to assist, but according to the higher-ups at the Holy Water Spirit Academy, we'll be shifting our search area. We apologize for any offense. Before leaving, I spoke to an administrator. No, that's not the case. We simply have different missions. Thank you for your assistance, the administrator replied. This way, we nodded, and that was our final farewell. Guanling and I then turned and headed in the other direction, where our aircraft, the Azure Heart, was parked. We planned to reach the 3rd location in the afternoon to explore the ruins there. A short while later, Guanling and I boarded the Azure aircraft. After completing the necessary preparations, I began to slowly lift it off. We were heading northeast, heading towards the area near Lake Baikal. After confirming the direction, I increased the power and began accelerating in that direction. Beside me, Guanling was marking something on a map, seemingly making a mark. There are 2 more nearby locations, so we'll have to work harder, I said. Well, it's okay. Even though we didn't find anything this time, there will definitely be something next time. Don't get discouraged, give it your all. If you do, you'll definitely find what you're looking for, Guanling said. You're right, I thought you'd be bored, I said. No, that's not the case. Look, we're not traveling to different places. I've never had that opportunity before. Even though we're on a mission, being with Xingze is enough, Guanling responded. It wasn't as boring as I'd imagined. She had a certain level of interest. I just couldn't tell what that interest was. After flying like this for over an hour, we arrived above the Baikal region as per usual protocol. We first visited the search team's camp, greeted the personnel, and reviewed the current search progress before we could begin the next phase. We arrived at our camp shortly after, landing at the edge of Lake Baikal's green forest. We then discussed the necessary procedures. After assessing the situation, we realized we still had about 2 hours left to search this afternoon, so we began our new exploration of the ruins. For those 2 hours, we didn't aim to find the site, but rather to acclimate ourselves to the area. We flew the aircraft over the lake and green forest, observing the terrain and assessing the terrain. We would determine our route based on the terrain, choosing the best route possible, efficiently and effectively, and minimizing any inconvenience to the residents. This was our priority, and the next 2 hours of flight were all about this. After some observation, the 2 hours flew by unnoticed. The cold winter had frozen over much of the lake, and darkness quickly descended. Guanling and I returned to our campsite at the agreed time. It was almost dinner time, as had been the case recently, and as expected, upon our return, a fire had already been lit in the camp, warming the area and preparing some food. As newcomers, we sat quietly beside the experts, enjoying our meals in a corner. They discussed exploration issues, how to improve accuracy and efficiency, and other trivial matters. Dinner gradually wore off. Since it was time to rest, Guanling and I wandered around the woods. Despite the cold weather, there were still many creatures in this forest, birds, reptiles, and insects. Some had already entered hibernation, but many were busy searching for food. I also scattered some of the remaining food on the nearby trees. With a spell, I hoped it would have an effect on some of the inhabitants. After that, we would spend the night here. Hopefully, all would go well, I thought, as we passed the night. The next day, a new beginning, our exploration mission began. Chapter 233 Return. From that day on, we planned our itinerary. Following the area marked on the map, we began our exploration, led by the machine. 1 day, 2 days, and then the third. On the afternoon of the third day, we followed our planned route, deep in the forest, on the edge of a rock. This was the second site we discovered, and it bore a certain resemblance to the first. Upon discovery, it was quickly confirmed to be a relic, a unique relic, closely connected to the original stone and nature. However, our investigation revealed no trace of the key within the ruins, suggesting it likely wasn't there. Further investigation by the troops would likely involve them. Our mission concluded, and our itinerary was finalized. After Lake Baikal, the Amur River was the next closest location, and our final stop. After bidding farewell to the search team in the Baikal region, we returned to the machine and set off for the next location, a section of the Amur River outside the country's borders that had been identified as a potential site for the relic. We're scheduled to arrive there by tonight. We've already communicated this with the Holy Water Spiritual Academy and have received approval. So, there's no reason not to go. Let's move on, heading for our next target location. Guanling, sitting next to me inside the aircraft, made some markings on the map, perhaps confirming the route we'd already taken. The next location is near the border surrounding this new century capital. It's arguably the last potential ruin site in the immediate vicinity, Guanling said. That's right. So far so good, I said. Well, let's get the next one done as quickly as possible, given the current situation, Guanling said. With that, we continued toward the Amur River, somewhere along the border demarcation line. It's hard to say how far it is from our current location, but were scheduled to arrive before this evening. The aircraft flew for nearly an hour, and we were already approaching the Amur River border demarcation line. According to the search team's base, it was still a short distance away. Continuing our flight, we arrived at the exploration team's base near the jungle beyond the Amur River's borders after about 10 minutes. After a brief conversation with the personnel there and identifying ourselves, we immediately joined the newly arrived reinforcements. Based on our measurements, the area was roughly the same size as Lake Baikal. We needed to discuss the details with the exploration team. It was already approaching dusk, and according to tradition, the search teams would be returning by then. Indeed, by this time, the exploration teams had begun returning. We arrived today to save time. We discussed the situation, the progress of our exploration of the ruins, and planned our next exploration route. As the sun set, a fire was lit in our clearing in the jungle, our campsite, and dinner began. Just like at Lake Baikal, this winter night was bitterly cold. Without a fire to warm ourselves, it was indeed difficult. We had a heater in the camp, and similar to our previous nights in the Baikal region, we followed a similar routine. After receiving the intelligence, Guanling and I planned our next route for the night, and that was the end of the night. The next day, we began our formal exploration of the ruins according to our planned route, starting with Area A in the jungle. We planned to explore Area A for a day, and that was indeed the case. By the evening of that day, we had just completed Area A, and our predictions and routes were becoming increasingly accurate. We spent a day exploring Area A, and during the night we gathered intelligence. We were still about 3/4 of the way there. The next day, we explored Area B, which was divided into jungle areas. I also spent a day exploring Area B as planned, but to no avail. Then, on the third day, we continued our exploration of Area C around 3:50 p.m., the Azure Heart activated, and we found the caves of the ruins hidden in the snow near a valley. We then spent the afternoon exploring the ruins' interior. Unlike the previous two ruins, this one also revealed traces of keys, some of which at least shone faintly in the depths. The source of that mysterious energy is unknown, but it's likely connected to the ley lines. From a mission perspective, we haven't found the key, but finding the ruins' location is already a significant accomplishment. The lead researcher was right, the Azure Heart helped us immensely. As evening approached and the sun set, we gradually returned to camp, our discovery of the ruins confirmed. Despite our busy schedule, we lit a fire and celebrated the evening. Over a warm dinner by the flames, one of the team leaders remarked, "Thanks to your help, we found the ruins so quickly, so we don't have to endure the cold for long." "That's also thanks to that machine," I said. Hearing this, another member praised, "The latest exploration equipment, huh? That's truly impressive." "Yes, but ultimately, it's all your credit." With a pleasant dinner, we finally passed the night. The next morning, the weather was beautiful, though still quite cold, but it was time to leave. We had a scheduled trip back to the Holy Water Spirit Academy in the New Century Capital Academy area. This morning, Guanling and I said goodbye to the people there. Before we began our exploration, several people appeared before us. One of them asked, "Are you leaving? You're a great couple, are you planning to get married someday?" Another asked. Guanling covered her face with her hand, feigning shame, and replied, "No, not at all." This made many present laugh. Then, we boarded our Mecha and headed towards the New Century City, preparing to depart. A Mecha headed towards the New Century City. Our next plan was to return to the Holy Water Spirit Academy. Since we hadn't found the key yet and had completed the mission assigned by higher-ups, we would pause our mission to inspect the Mecha. While it was generally fine, some rest was necessary. Since we hadn't found the key yet, the mission wasn't over yet. We might just be returning for a quick refresher. New missions might follow depending on the situation. During the time on the machine, Guanling made some marks on the map and said at the same time, "Thank you for your hard work, Xingze. This mission is a little bit difficult." "Not bad." After more than an hour, we returned to the sky above the school area and headed towards the Holy Water Spirit College. Chapter 234 Preparations for War. Soon after, we returned to the Holy Water Spirit Academy. After placing the Azure Heart, the machine we'd been working so hard on the rooftop bungalow, we headed down the circular building's corridor, heading towards the intelligence department where we'd report our mission. We quickly reached the elevator and walked to the door. After knocking, we were allowed inside. A woman sat in a room piled with documents and various electronic devices. She was a familiar figure, Huaqian, wearing a gray sweatshirt. The staff on the upper floors seemed to rotate their duties irregularly, likely due to their own missions and circumstances. Today, Huaqian was the one staying behind. Seeing us approaching, she stopped working at her computer and looked towards us. It's been nearly 2 weeks of this mission. Thank you for your hard work. Thankfully, according to researcher Zhou Wenchu, we've successfully located 3 of those unique ruins using that machine, I said. I see. The key hasn't been found yet, right? Huaqian said. Yes, we've almost exhausted all the potential ruins locations nearby. You can pause and wait for a while. There are several energy reactions far away. We're negotiating with the people in Area 1. We'll contact you soon with further information, Huaqian added. The intelligence we've collected over the past 2 weeks is in the machine's database. If you need it, just transmit it. Yes, we have a general grasp of it. We'll retrieve the information later. You can rest for a while, Huaqian said. In that case, we'll be leaving, Guanling said. Huaqian nodded. Then we left the data room. It was 11:30 a.m. when we took the elevator downstairs. Guanling, who is on the 3rd floor, had left to finish some work at the academy, and I planned to check out the classroom. My sister might still be in class, so I headed for it. However, walking down the 3rd-year corridor, I saw few students. Only a few, seemingly engaged in extracurricular activities. When I reached my class, there was only one person in the room, Xingze. She was alone, sitting at her desk, studying some documents. Even during lunch break, it wouldn't be this empty. Thinking this, I checked my phone and saw the date. It turned out to be the weekend, meaning most students wouldn't be in school. Despite noticing this, I went inside anyway. Xingze noticed me, put down the documents she was holding, and said, Xingze, are you back from your mission? Yeah, I didn't notice the date today. I thought it was lunch break, so I didn't see many students, I said. I figured that, Xingze said. She had anticipated my simple plan. Well, why are you at school even on weekends? It's quiet at this time of year, and it feels nice to read here. Really, I also have some different tasks, so to speak, that I'm carrying out here, Chikuka said. I see. Well, then, I'll leave first. You should work hard too, yes, and have a good trip, Chikuka said. We all do. With that, I left the classroom. Chikuka continued to read the materials in her hands, wearing a pair of black framed glasses. I didn't bother her anymore. It was time to go home. Today was Sunday. After all, I walked to my doorstep and stood at the door of room 302 of the students' dormitory. I opened the door with my key. After entering, I was immediately noticed by my younger sister, who was at home. Shuho was the first to notice me. She seemed to be preparing lunch. She walked over and said, Brother, coming back at this time is such a surprise. Why didn't you tell me beforehand? Shuho looked at me with her soft, oval eyes. Well, I couldn't be sure of the time I was coming back, so since the school wasn't far from home, I just walked back, I explained. Really? We've been texting so many times, and you haven't been replying much? It's really worrying, Shuho said. I was a bit busy on the mission. I didn't pay much attention to my phone, I said. During the mission, we had dedicated communication tools, so my phone was mostly on silent mode, untouched. Brother, don't do that next time. Shuho looked at me with a slightly annoyed look. Okay, I get it, I said to comfort her, then slowly walked over to the sofa in the hall and sat down. It's almost time for dinner, so you'll still get some, Shuho said, sitting down on the sofa next to me. A moment later, Lan Yu arrived from the kitchen, placing the prepared dishes on the dining table. She spotted me sitting on the sofa. She'd probably known about it beforehand, so she said, Xingze, you're back. How was your trip? That mission wasn't easy, was it? Yes, it wasn't. The outside world is very cold, I said. That's definitely related to the stone, Lan Yu said. I nodded. Yes, it's related to the stone and the natural world, that ruin. I've always felt like it involved something dangerous, Lan Yu said. Really? I didn't really notice, I said. Lunch is ready, and there's still some for you. Give us a little thanks, Lan Yu said, then headed towards the kitchen. Probably to continue serving the dishes or making some small dishes. We had lunch as normal after that. Because of the cold weather, everyone in our family was relatively quiet. Lan Yu had recently reduced her kendo practice significantly, focusing more on her inner self. Unlike her outward appearance, her inner self had become increasingly pure. She often sensed things I wasn't aware of, subtle and minute details. Perhaps it was because of my laziness. I often had to lecture and scold me, and if this caused her practice to regress, it was truly my fault. I must be grateful to have someone as diligent as her by my side. She's been a significant contributor to my growth. My other sister also possessed different characteristics. Li Shuhou was a worldly person, but she was gentle and kind, caring for animals, even small insects. This was a natural human quality, and perhaps this innate quality gave her a special strength. Perhaps it was like karma, with its own distinct forces of good and evil. After moving in, Lan Yu taught her, gradually helping her break many of her bad habits. This was probably the turning point for these three. It's a wonderful thing. At a certain age, people encounter what they truly need, believe it's the right path, and then begin to practice. I chose to take a nap in the afternoon when I had some free time. Then, between opening and closing my eyes, I woke up again. I'd managed to get through the day successfully, and it was almost 4 in the afternoon. Now, I could consider practicing for a while and eating dinner. While sitting cross-legged on my bed with my eyes closed, attempting to enter a state of concentration, I felt a surge of emotion within the darkness. This often happens when one is about to enter a state of meditation. When the mind is at peace, one gradually becomes aware of the thoughts within. The many thoughts and distracting thoughts, like a calm ocean rippled by a wind. The deeper one delves, the more subtle the perception. Maitreya Bodhisattva said that in the blink of an eye, 3.2 billion thoughts arise and disappear in an instant, followed by new thoughts. Humans perceive only the coarse thoughts composed of many thoughts. The ability to perceive so many subtle thoughts requires profound meditation skills, not ordinary people. If I tried to enter deep meditation now, I'd probably go too far. My mind was in turmoil. The more I tried, the more I felt the vastness of the ocean. Though calm, it was now windy. I couldn't figure out the cause. Suddenly, sweat broke out on my head, and my heart raced and throbbed, like that raw stone. I opened my eyes and decided to stop practicing and head to the bathroom. On the way there, I felt a little exhausted, my body aching, and walking was much more labored than usual. I'd thought of washing my face, but then I realized it was so cold I might not be able to handle it. I decided to get some water, so I headed for the nearby water fountain. On the way, I passed Shuhou. Perhaps noticing that I looked a little off and pale, she said, "Brother, are you thirsty?" "Yes, I'd like some water," I said. I poured myself some water, and after drinking, I felt a little more awake. "Brother, you're using my cup," Shuhou said. Upon closer inspection, it wasn't my usual cup. "That's right, it's okay, we're brother and sister, please continue," Shuhou said gently. I thought about it and drank the water. I'd throw it away anyway, so I didn't want to let her kindness go to waste. After finishing, I set the cup on the shelf beside me. Shuhou then placed a hand on my shoulder and said, "Are you feeling any better?" "A little better." Perhaps I was feeling a little better, but I hadn't changed much since before. Change wouldn't happen so quickly. "Brother, bend down a little," Shuhou said. Her hand was still on my shoulder. I understood what she meant and bent down slightly. Then, Shuhou reached out from in front of me, a hand that seemed to shimmer with a faint golden light. It rested on the top of my head and began to stroke, from the top of my head to the back of my head. After 2 brief strokes, she withdrew her hand. By then, I was standing up straight again, feeling much better. Such a sudden and immediate change is rare, and it makes one worry about side effects. But that was Shuhou's power. An incredible power, incomprehensible. "I'm much better now, thanks to your help," I said. "My hard-working cultivation has been of some use, which is a happy thing." "No need to thank me," Shuhou said. Really, after that, it was gradually approaching dinner time. Shuhou and Lan Yu began to get busy again. Shuhou was worried about me, so she called me to sit on the sofa nearby. I had few opportunities to help. And so, the day at home passed. Chapter 235. A short stay. The next day, my health had improved, and today I headed to the academy again, accompanied by my sister. It was still a cold day, and we arrived at the academy gate one after another. As usual, neither of us was late, and we entered class. Shuhou was still worried about me. I seemed to look a little off. Regardless of her opinion, I came anyway. The change in my expression wasn't a big deal, given the cold weather. After entering class, I was getting some attention again for not coming in a while, but that was okay. Shuho and I went to our seats as usual. I heard today that the Academy's higher-ups might ask me to do something else, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. Let's see what the situation is. The ruins are involved in many things, at least here on Earth and in the natural world, and they have the potential to cause serious trouble. I'm a relevant person, a key player. I've been unconsciously thinking this. If that's the case, I'll find a way. Before class, many students who knew me discussed the assignments and how things were going. This is probably karma. Before, I should have been like Chikuka, sitting in a corner doing my own thing. Now, I have to deal with things with perfunctory words. My brother isn't feeling well. He might have caught a cold during the mission. Let's not disturb him for now, Shuho said, before the red-haired man, Daireibo, and several other students. It seemed she couldn't stand my idiocy, so she said this. Really? In that case, I won't bother you anymore, Daireibo said. Then, one after another, several people left. Among them was someone whose name I couldn't even remember. A woman, someone who seemed to have had some conflict with me, Xingze, back in first grade. Now, there seemed to be no discomfort. Then, class began. During class, my phone vibrated. It was upstairs. I quickly confirmed it, and they were asking me what to do. Then, at noon, during my lunch break, I had to go to the 11th floor. Shuho had kindly invited me to dinner today, but unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I took the college elevator to the 11th floor and walked to the conference room. The door opened automatically, and inside, I saw a few people I knew, Hideyoshi and a few researchers. The lead researcher was also there. Seeing me, he said, "Okay, come on in." I walked in. "What's up? You don't look very happy today. Do you have a cold?" Jo Wenshu said. "No," I said after a moment of silence. He continued, "I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm here to tell you that there's a follow-up to your previous mission." "Really? Go ahead, tomorrow is fine, right?" "We're going to South America." "South America," I said. "South America seems to be in the Western Hemisphere, very far away from here. The journey will take quite a while, but Azure Heart's performance is fine. So, I'll give you some time to consider it. Tomorrow is fine, or the day after tomorrow," Jo Wenshu said. "What does Guanling think?" "Have you told her?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "It depends on your opinion. If you think tomorrow is okay, then let's go tomorrow," Jo Wenshu added. "I see. Let me think about it for a bit. I'll make a decision tonight," I said. "I see. The journey to South America is different from here. It's warm," Jo Wenshu said. "And it's also quite vast." "I mean the search area for the ruins," Hideyoshi said. "I see. I'll make a detailed assessment based on the information. With that, I'll take my leave." With that, I headed out of the meeting room. I took the elevator to the first floor and headed to the cafeteria outside. All the while, I felt a subtle discomfort. It was as if some invisible force was correcting me, making me sick, reminding me of something. I'm currently lacking something, and that's probably due to the direction I'm heading. What lies ahead for a cultivator? What are the things I carry? What are the abilities I've gained? What are their uses? Does the answer lie in South America? On the way, I met Shuho and went to the cafeteria. We discussed our possible destinations. "Can you let me go too?" Shuho asked. The answer was a bit surprising, but it was unlikely to be granted. "That's probably unlikely. I already know all the information about the ruins," Shuho added. "That's true, but even so, the higher-ups won't likely accept your request." With that conversation, we ended our lunch break and entered afternoon classes. The day ended. After school, Shuho and I returned home together and discussed the trip to South America. I didn't know the details, and I needed to check the emails on my computer to confirm whether I would go to the destination the next day. Therefore, we didn't reach a conclusion at dinner. Later, I opened the computer in my room and found the email in the designated mailbox. I entered the password and opened the contents. The destination we're heading to is the eastern side of the Andes Mountains in southern South America, stretching from the Patagonian Desert to the Patagonian Plateau. We're conducting a transcontinental search for ruins. Lan Yu, Shui Hui, and I were all checking the information on the computer. "It's quite far. How long will it take?" Lan Yu said. "Looking at the map, the search area is quite large," Shui Hui said. "You're right. I can't imagine such a large search area. I wonder if they've detected any energy fluctuations from the ruins there, I said. On that note, there are indeed mysterious fluctuations in South America, far to the east. That direction really struck me last time, Lan Yu said. Hearing this, I took note of what Lan Yu had said. What is there in South America? Compared to that, going so far, how is your brother's health? Can he go? Shuho said. I'm generally feeling much better, I said. I heard you were leaving tomorrow, but I think we should change it to the day after tomorrow. In the meantime, you can rest while I help with another treatment, Shuho said. Really? You're right, thank you very much, I said. After reviewing the information and briefly discussing it, Lan Yu and Shuho decided that neither of us needed to go together. We concluded that we should depart the day after tomorrow for South America. After completing our discussion, we left the room. We still had to inform Guanling and the higher-ups of our conclusions. If that was the decision, the day after tomorrow would be the day to depart. Chapter 236 Next Target Location. After another day of rest, my condition improved, thanks to Shuho's help. Today is Wednesday, the day I'm heading to the potential ruins site again. After dropping Shuho off at the academy this morning, I headed to the 10th floor of the building. I contacted Guanling on the way, she was on her way. I then went to the intelligence department on the 10th floor and explained the procedures for the mission to the personnel there. Guanling arrived shortly afterward. Sorry for the wait. I'm Guanling, participating in the South American Ruins search mission, she introduced herself. I see. The bespectacled female officer confirmed Guanling's identity and stamped her with a mission stamp. After completing the formalities, we headed to the top floor, the rooftop bungalow. When a mission requires a mobile suit, it's often launched from there. There's a dedicated flight ramp. We arrived there, and the officer nearby led us to the white cabin of the aircraft. He entered the code using a fingerprint, and the cabin opened. White smoke billowed, revealing the Azure Heart, hailed as my personal aircraft. There's nothing wrong with the aircraft, it can be started at any time, the woman in the suit said. Understood, I said, and boarded the aircraft. Guanling followed shortly after. We entered the cabin and closed the doors. I activated the aircraft with a key, and the interior shimmered, a faint sapphire glow. A delicate fragrance wafted into the air. No problem, I'm ready to go, I said. Okay, please proceed slowly along Skytrack 3, the woman said. Understood, I said, starting the aircraft's engines and heading east along the designated track, towards Skytrack 3. I briefly maneuvered the aircraft into orbit, and soon it entered Skytrack 3, flying along the track toward the path leading to the sky. At this moment, my primal spirit, Kyo, intersected with a crystal at the core of my machine, merging into one. Today, my primal spirit seemed to be offering to assist me, helping me reach my target location in South America and search for the ruins. Is that so? I thought. It should be so. After all, the primal spirit has been with me for a while and knows certain things. There's no need for conversation. An interesting journey is about to begin. The distance to our target location in South America is, Guanling was checking the electronic map. I'd roughly calculated it. Over 28,000 miles, Guanling said. That's an impressive number, I said. We estimate it will take 18 hours to arrive, maintaining a normal flight speed. At higher speeds, 10 hours would probably be enough. However, if the machine is kept at a high speed, I can't guarantee that its performance won't be affected. After all, every living thing has a lifespan. We can't overwork it, it's not good for us. It's not too bad. Compared to the distance we've traveled so far, it's not that much, Guanling said. That's true. The most tiring thing is this machine. South America, do you know any places? I asked again. Hearing this, Guanling replied, all I know is that the weather there seems unpredictable. It's better to bring more supplies. Really, it was a meaningless question. I could only see what was in South America with my own eyes. Although I had a long flight today, with the Yuanling here, I didn't have to bother constantly piloting the machine. The Yuanling had independent judgment and was connected to me. After 3 years, the Yuanling and I had at least been able to divide the work. As we flew on, towards South America, I remained silent for long periods, feeling what I should do. Time slipped by unnoticed, and night fell. The moon was high in the sky. We had already crossed the border and were flying over the ocean. Guanling had fallen asleep, lying beside me under the covers. She was a person I found difficult to understand. At that moment, I couldn't help but admire the vast ocean before me. The deep blue ocean, the ocean that nurtures all things, is an incredible existence. As I admired it, my heart still fluctuated, like the sometimes choppy surface of the ocean. The machine continued to fly, and the ocean hadn't been disturbed by our presence. Life is like the ocean, tossed by various causes. But water is a tranquil existence, gentle and ever-changing, sometimes sublimating, sometimes freezing. After that, as I closed my eyes and waited, I gradually began to enter a dormant state. Meditation requires many conditions to achieve concentration, and I had no other options. I could only silently recite the mantra passed down to me by Xingze. Was my current practice. That only lasted for a short while, and after a while, I entered a dormant state. Then, the sun gradually rose, and the machine had gradually entered the territory of South America. The ocean could still be seen on the other side. We were still some distance from our target location, and it would take about an hour to reach the edge of the Patagonian desert. The exploration team's base in this area was located on the edge of the Patagonian desert, near a dividing line that divides the Patagonian desert. This allowed for simultaneous exploration in both directions. As morning approached, Guanling gradually woke up, took in the scenery outside, and said, "It's morning already. We're almost there, right?" "Yes, we're still a little distance from our base. We estimate we'll arrive in about 30 minutes, I said. "Really? Even though this is tropical, the temperature difference between morning and night in the desert is still significant." "That's right, be careful," I said. As we continued to fly, we drew closer to our target location. By now, I was the one operating the aircraft. Yuanling had been working hard for a while. After a while, the aircraft gradually approached the base. It was a small, circular fortress, surrounded by numerous barracks. That was where we were going to explore and where we would need it. Soon after, the mech landed nearby. There were many other mechas around, so I chose that spot. After we disembarked, we were met by several soldiers in dark blue uniforms. They were wary, weapons in hand, watching the two of us emerge from the mechas one after another. The scale and quality of the personnel here seemed significantly different from previous ones. The center of the stronghold seemed like a permanent location for extended stays, not a tented barracks. The main camp was only slightly smaller than the Green Alliance branch base I'd visited before, not to mention the heavily armed and heavily guarded soldiers. "Who are you?" one of the soldiers said. "The woman next to me and I are a support team from the Holy Water Spirit Academy in the New Century Capital Academy area," I said, and, as usual, presented my identification. Their guard remained unwavering until I handed my identification to a soldier who looked like an intelligence officer. After confirming my identity, he nodded in approval, and the soldiers lowered their weapons. "New reinforcements. Due to time constraints, you don't have time to participate in the next exploration mission. First, familiarize yourself with the relevant rules here," a soldier said. "I see. Is there any difference between the previous ruins exploration teams here?" I asked. "Different. There are sometimes struggles in this area, and there are organizations that block us from finding the ruins," the soldier responded. "Really? It's really dangerous. May I ask how long the current ruins exploration work has been going on?" I asked again. I can't say. "This is something you don't need to know," the soldier responded sternly. "I see. Since you have understood the situation, as I said, you should go to the A4 barracks on the right, read the rules, and then stand by," the soldier said. "Well, please wait a moment, we are actually under orders from the Holy Water Spirit Academy, and we should have the authority to act freely from the Academy," Guanling said at this time. "Holy Water Spirit Academy? This is the special detachment of the central domain city of the first region. No matter where you are from, you should obey orders here. Don't you understand?" the soldier said, pointing to the unique lion-shaped logo with crossed guns on his uniform. "Okay," Guanling said softly, then took my hand and headed towards Camp A4, the location the soldier had indicated. Absolute authority reigns supreme. After entering Camp A4, the management staff seated us at a long table nearby and we began reading the manual. We spoke with the higher-ups, and sure enough, the response we received was the same as the soldier had said. Here, we must obey the orders of our superiors in the special forces. "I didn't expect to run into trouble right from the start," Guanling said as she reviewed the manual. The manual contained numerous instructions, such as morning wake-up times, evening bedtimes, and daily routines. It was similar to military regulations, with penalties for violations. It's unavoidable. I knew when I got here that this wouldn't be so easy, I said. So, what's Xingze planning to do? Guanling asked. Let's just follow their rules for now. At least we need to understand the ins and outs of this place, really? I agree with that, Guanling said. Anyway, read the manual thoroughly. Don't make any mistakes under their watch. After a brief conversation, we finished reviewing the manual. After a while, a man with short hair walked over and sat down next to me. He was also in military uniform, and it looked like he hadn't been assigned to a mission yet, or perhaps he had a different one. He asked, "Are you the reinforcements from Holy Water Spirit Academy?" I replied, "Yes." This man, probably in his early 30s, had a stern face. He looked no ordinary soldier. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Above the Desert. Facing the stern soldier before us, we were all wary. "Excuse me, are you here to speak with us? Are you a superior?" Guanling asked. "That's correct. My name is Long Jun. I've received a mission. A support team will be arriving soon and joining my team," the man named Long Jun said. "So, you're our captain," Guanling said. "Yes, I've been getting information on you, Guanling and Xingze, for a while now." The soldier used an electronic device to confirm our information. "Well, when does the mission begin, and how long will we be on standby here?" I asked. "Don't worry. I've heard you're experts in finding ruins. Security in this area has been relaxed a bit, and will be out this afternoon," Longjun said. "So you're on standby too?" "Yes, there are frequent attackers in the desert and plateau around here. I'm afraid they're from some organization, and we haven't figured out their targets yet. Perhaps they're also targeting the ruins," Longjun said. "I see," I said. "It seems things aren't peaceful in this area. The conflict between the troops in Sector 1 and the mysterious organization might be targeting the ruins. Are the ruins here being targeted, or are the troops in Sector 1 being targeted? I don't know what the issue is." After a brief conversation, Longjun stood up and prepared to leave. Before leaving, he said, "I'll contact you later if needed. Please follow the rules." "Understood," the man then left. We spent quite a while here, near the library, reading the manual. I decided to go outside the barracks, and Guanling wanted to join me. We walked out of the barracks one after another and came to the desert. Looking out, there was an endless golden desert. The cold wind blew from time to time, making us feel cold. Guanling and I were both wearing cloaks at the moment, and it was not easy to adapt to this place. The boundary between the desert and the plateau still had many secrets that we didn't know. After wandering around, the surrounding facilities were indeed quite high-end. Compared with before, this place was more like a base. Judging from the traces of buildings, it seemed that it had been built for more than half a year. I don't know what the people here were doing before that, and I don't know if some search work had already begun before that. There were many soldiers guarding the camp. They were all armed with guns and patrolling everywhere. We also walked more cautiously to avoid causing unnecessary trouble. "Xingze, this is undoubtedly a key location," Guanling said. "Is that so? Well, we'll know one day, when we know the truth." "Do you know what?" "Yes, the central city of Region 1 holds many secrets. There's no point in telling them now," Guanling said. "Really?" I said. After observing the surroundings of the camp, we headed towards Barracks A4, our waiting area. If there's no point in telling them, it does happen all the time, so I didn't need to ask specifically. We remained on standby until noon. Soldiers began to return from all directions. The search area here was quite extensive, after all. Since it was almost lunchtime, we could wait outside the camp and see the soldiers returning. Some of them looked disheveled, whether due to the difficulty of the search or other problems. From here, we could only observe. We couldn't possibly learn too much all at once. We had to be prepared for a protracted battle. Around noon, it was time for lunch, and we lined up to get our food. We were dressed slightly differently from the rest of the soldiers, but the cloaks we wore helped mask our awkwardness. The people here were rather serious, difficult to approach, and rarely approached. The troops in Area 1 were exceptionally well-mannered. During lunchtime, we were just the two of us, enjoying our meal in a corner of the barracks. There was no chance to ask anyone for any relevant intelligence. After lunch, Guanling and I headed for the intelligence gathering center within the camp, a secluded room nestled in the heavily guarded inner sanctum. We entered through a tent. The light was dim, and we had come here under the pretext of surveying the terrain and exploring the progress of our mission. There was a middle-aged man with glasses inside, also in military uniform. When he saw us, he said, "You are indeed the new reinforcements." "Yes, the Holy Water Spirit Academy has arrived," I said. "It's really a rare thing. Although the Holy Water Spirit Academy is a famous school, it is really incomprehensible that it joined the 1st Region Special Forces for this special mission," the middle-aged man said. Beside him were several young workers, who seemed to be helping to manage intelligence, but they were also very cautious. If the situation was not good, they would probably take out firearms. "You don't understand this. We have a special secret weapon for exploring the ruins. Therefore, Mr. Pullen will agree to our joining," Guanling said at this time. Mr. Pullen. Do you know that name? No wonder, it's so rare. He is the commander-in-chief of the 1st area, the middle-aged man said. I know. I used to be his assistant, Guanling said. Really? Have you met him in person? The middle-aged man looked a little surprised. Yes, Guanling replied with a forced smile. This makes me a little confused. The Pullen they mentioned is the person in charge of the 1st area. It seems incredible to meet him. Then that person is probably like the general of Clay City, the city of military honor in the 3rd area. Is he a mysterious figure? I see. You really can't be underestimated, the middle-aged man said, adjusting his glasses. Then tell us about the terrain in this area and the progress of the search, Guanling asked. Hearing this, the middle-aged man thought for a moment, then said, well, although the army has said we can't leak information casually, since you're assisting Area 1, I'll share this with you. Thank you for your assistance, Guanling said. It seemed she had cleverly extracted some information. Then, the middle-aged man, Linda, handed us the relevant information on the terrain and progress in the form of a document. We should treat this with caution, Linda said. We understand, this unit is currently in the midst of conflict. Internal unrest and espionage cannot be ruled out. Don't let your actions attract the attention of the soldiers here, really, I said. Our conversation ended, and we left the intelligence department. Chapter 238 Above the Desert. It was 1 in the afternoon, and the wind still blew intermittently outside the desert when we received the order to depart. Team C, the exploration team led by Long Jun. After the order was issued to begin exploring the ruins, we quickly arrived at Team C's assembly point, located in the eastern desert, at the edge of the camp. Everyone, assemble. Start counting from the left, the man standing at the front of our team said. The team members began counting, with me at the far right, counting to 15. 15? That means everyone's here, Longjun and the male deputy team leader standing beside him confirmed. This meant the team totaled 17, and we were scheduled to advance southeastward into the desert. Team C was our code name. The target location is the southeast desert area in Area D. Everyone, take your positions and prepare to board your vehicles. The Air Force will scout ahead, the team leader said. Immediately, the soldiers began to move without hesitation. Those who boarded armored vehicles boarded armored vehicles, those who landed helicopters, and those who landed natural mechas boarded natural mechas. I also used the mechanical control device, a goggle-shaped prop, to summon the Azure Heart, currently codenamed C6, and steered it to its location. I also donned dark blue goggles. As the mecha gradually landed near us, I asked the captain, can you tell me about our route and the general information about the area we'll explore next? No problem, it'll be uploaded to the C6 mecha database shortly, ready for reception, Longjun said. I understand, follow Team C, the rear of the Air Force, Longjun added. I nodded, and Guanling and I boarded the mecha together. Shortly after entering, Captain Longjun and Vice Captain Lin Feng also boarded their mechas. It seemed that in addition to the mecha Guanling and I were traveling in, 3 more mechas were about to join us. Team C began to advance southeastward, gradually increasing its speed. During this time, a connection message came from the captain's machine. We accepted it and, moments later, received information about our intended destination and search range for this afternoon. Considering that our search method might not align with the pace of a typical unit, I spoke to the captain again. Captain, you should have received information about our search methods for the ruins. We may not be able to continue exploring after reaching our target, I said. I understand. Once we arrive, we'll give you free rein to explore. Just be mindful of the search area. This is a desert. You certainly have highly efficient exploration tools, but in this desert, our team won't be much slower than you. Be careful not to overstep your bounds, the captain replied. Understood, I replied. The team then headed towards their target, designated Area D in the Patagonian Desert, nearly 100 kilometers from their base camp. We soon arrived at a golden desert area, indicated on the map as Area D. Upon reaching the target area, the captain issued the initial order to halt. Monitoring team, what's the situation around here? The captain said. There's no electronic signal around, and the surrounding area is completely desert. Nothing suspicious has been found. Okay, continue forward. Keep an eye on your surroundings while exploring. The desert is a good place to hide, so each team should be careful, the captain added. Understood. Then, divide into 3 teams, each carrying out exploration missions. Any suspicious areas should be carefully examined. They could hold clues to the whereabouts of the ruins. With the captain's words, the team split into 3 smaller teams, each heading in 3 different directions. Following the captain's instructions, we now had free time. The target search area was Area D, which covered approximately 2,500 square kilometers. Our search area was unlikely to be fully explored by this afternoon, at least. Our only hope was to find the ruins here. After confirming this, we began our first exploration since arriving in this desert, starting at the largest boundary and moving inwards. We would adjust our search route along the way to account for other factors. Then began today's exploration mission. We flew over the vast desert. As we flew, a dark-colored mech followed us from behind. It seemed to be one of Team C's 4 Mechas. Whichever direction we headed, it would follow us at a distance. It seemed to be the mech monitoring us. After checking the in-mech's display, I said, it looks like there's a mech monitoring us today. Really? Anyway, we're going to follow the rules, Guanling said. That's right, there's no need to do anything unless we detect any intentions, Guanling added. Then, let's ignore the mech behind us for now, I said, increasing my speed and flying further into the desert at a medium to low altitude. In places like this, besides relying on the mech's power to locate the target, we also need to use our eyes. Based on previous experience, the ruins still have certain characteristics. If we see any ancient buildings or stones resembling cave entrances, we should pay special attention. That might help us find clues. This desert spans approximately 670,000 kilometers. Looking for a needle in a haystack would take forever. Based on past experience, we've determined the fastest search method is to search for clues. There's a powerful energy source beneath the ruins. According to the lead researcher, it's the energy that's causing the machine to react. That reaction isn't limited to the energy source, but also includes objects related to the ruins. When the original spirit merges with the machine's core, I'll be able to sense it and even expand the search range. Previous experiments have shown the limit is about 2 to 3 kilometers, but that can only be maintained for a short time. Normally, 300 meters is sufficient for a long time. During the search, we scanned the desert for long periods. All around us was a golden expanse, occasionally glimpsed by a few green trees and rocks. Under these circumstances, this was the only way we could carry out our mission. While doing things, I sometimes wondered, what are we doing? Flying a mecha over the desert? Searching for ruins? So what? It's a confusing time, like a force driving me to do something. Even if I think about it, it's hard to figure out what's going on, whether I should do it or not. Right now, during this long quest, I think this way. But perhaps there's meaning in searching for the ruins. This is the last time, and if this time is pointless, then it's about time to call it a day. But I shouldn't give up halfway now, I decided, and continued on this long journey. Flying over the desert, the sun gradually dipped westward without me noticing. At a certain time, the captain's call came through. The sun is almost setting. Return to camp before dark. It was approaching 5 p.m., and it was time to think about returning. Once back, I could rest, and that would be better. A day's work was over. That feeling. Guanling, beside me, remained expressionless, sometimes staring at the screen, sometimes silent. Perhaps it felt like she was getting closer to me. Something had changed for her, probably in her emotions, not specifically about the individual, but about emotions themselves. While it's common for people to suddenly mature, It's possible to say that emotions are gradually being eliminated or suppressed. Rational thinking has taken over. Humans are sentient beings, and animals have emotions too, in varying forms that are difficult to comprehend. We can go back to camp, I said. Finally, we can rest for a while, Guanling replied. As she said, we soon flew at high speed towards the camp, unknowingly leaving the following machine behind. The pilot must have been working very hard. To me, what he was doing was even more meaningless than ours. After a while, we returned to camp. The sky had gradually darkened. Team C then gathered briefly before disbanding. Before leaving, Longjun explained our accommodations. Your temporary accommodation is in Barracks C7. No one's living there yet, so go clean it up a bit. I nodded. I understand. Very good, let's go, Longjun said. Then, one after another, we headed towards Barracks C7. We hadn't quite figured out the exact direction yet, as there were quite a few barracks here. I glanced around, but it started with a C over there, Longjun pointed out. I nodded and held out my hand to indicate understanding. Then, Guanling and I headed in that direction. There was a row of barracks with Cs in them, and C7 wasn't far away. We found it quickly. It was near a corner. Guanling and I walked in. It was messy and dusty, as if it hadn't been used in a while. Fortunately, the room was quite large, with separate areas for the bathroom, living room, and bedroom. It just looked like it needed some tidying up, just as Longjun had said. Let's clean up this area, Guanling said. I nodded in agreement. We then began to tidy up the room. From outside, we could hear the sounds of dinner being served. I remember it being written in the manual, but at that moment, Guanling and I were both busy tidying the room. Not going to eat? I asked. Never mind. I'll be sitting inside this machine all the time anyway, Guanling said. So we continued to tidy up the room, using it as a temporary shelter for the night. Chapter 239 Above the Desert. The next day, we rose on time, following local regulations, and had breakfast. At 8 a.m., we began our second day in this desert. Team C began a new round of exploration. They hadn't yet completed a portion of Area D from yesterday, so today's plan was to complete Area D and move on to Area D2. Therefore, I joined the team heading towards the center of the desert. Once we reached our target location, we began our exploration. Let's see if we can find any clues today, Guanling said. Yes, I replied, and with that, we began our exploration. Still inside the machine, flying at a low to medium altitude, we scanned the desert. Waves emanated from the machine's perimeter, shrinking inward and outward in a spherical pattern. The maximum amplitude was currently around 300 meters, thanks to the assistance of the primordial spirit. Any remnant within the range would produce a light response, which was generally the case. Today, we'll expand our search range from 300 meters to 350 meters. While this will increase the burden, it will also improve our efficiency. The vibrations emitted by the mech are invisible to the naked eye, but they can be detected by instruments within the mech, a unique feature of the latest mech. The flight continued, and Yuanling and I gradually expanded our search range, increasing it every half hour on average. I had a good idea of what this ruin meant. We had to find it quickly. A mech had been following us this morning, presumably monitoring our movements today, but it didn't hinder us, so there wasn't any problem. I focused on finding the ruins and didn't worry about what lay behind us. The morning wore on, and at the appointed time, we received the order to retreat, meaning it was time to return to camp. While this wasn't the most efficient approach, it was reasonable. I personally felt we could complete a full day of flight and return to camp before dark. Despite this, I still had to listen to my superiors. Anything less would only cause unnecessary trouble. So, we returned to camp, a good opportunity to rest. The journey took about half an hour, and the ground forces would take even longer. After returning to camp, we landed and parked our mech in a nearby open space. It was almost lunchtime, so we gathered intelligence and passed it on to the captain's mech via the data center. Everything was going according to plan. Guanling and I were walking around the camp, heading for lunch as usual. On the way, we saw some panicked soldiers heading in the other direction, seemingly towards the intelligence department. I wondered which team had run into trouble again. This kind of expedition is not uncommon, especially during these unusual circumstances. Furthermore, there seemed to be a hostile organization nearby interfering with our operations. The situation wasn't peaceful, and those were things we couldn't intervene in right now. Exploring the ruins was our priority. Unless the captain gave us specific orders, we remained stationary. We went to grab lunch and then began our afternoon expedition. This afternoon, Guanling and I also had lunch in a corner of the desert, a bit like down and out wanderers. We didn't have much to communicate with the soldiers here, they ate in groups of 3 or 5. But we seemed a bit different, starting with our attire. I don't want to consider the reasons beyond that. Here, the troops in the first area are different from the others, likely having a different mission. After finishing our lunches, we each placed our bowls among the piles of other bowls and headed off in different directions. Guanling and I didn't have much to say to each other. We'd both adapted well here, so we didn't even need any help. We were no longer the same me and her. Besides the ruins, we also need to understand that third-party organization, Guanling said. That's right. There's some connection between the third party and the ruins. This time, unlike the previous ones, if there are ruins in the desert, then finding them is our top priority. That's what we should do, I said. As we spoke, we continued to sit near the camp, observing and passing the time. We waited for a while, and then it was almost time for our afternoon departure. After gathering on the east side of the camp, we confirmed our number, 17. The captain then said, "Today's exploration begins. Everyone, get ready to go." With that, the various troops boarded their armored vehicles, helicopters, and natural-shaped mechas. We began our afternoon exploration, arriving at Area D2 after a while, where we began a new round of exploration for the day. This afternoon was another yellow desert, everywhere. Our exploration began, flying low and medium altitude over the desert landscape, followed by Mecha, and this afternoon was no different. We may not have been trusted, but that's not our concern. We're just carrying out our mission, and completing it is our primary goal. Since 1:30, our Mecha has been constantly flying around the desert sky. If our Mecha's perception is further enhanced, we can sense even more subtle things. The energy source might be far away, but with subtler perception, we might be able to find it. Energy is released outward, becoming insignificant within a certain range. This is related to the Mecha's perception. I'm currently working on improving my Mecha's sensing capabilities. While this isn't the same as increasing the search range, it's very similar. This requires the power of the Mecha, the primordial spirit, and the Mecha. Guanling seemed to understand and sat silently by my side, not interrupting us. I'm currently training my perception skills every day. The classifications we need are based on range and subtle types. Guanling seemed to understand everything I was doing. It was all about expediting our search for the ruins, and that's why she often sat beside me, like a puppet. It was the right decision, reducing unnecessary obstacles and increasing the efficiency of my search. Thus, I became increasingly connected to the machine's sensory system, gradually increasing the subtlety of my perception, maintaining my planned trajectory over the desert. This afternoon's exploration continued, and I tried to maintain this state of awareness for extended periods. After an hour and 35 minutes, northwest of Area D2, not far from our flight path, the machine began to glow faintly, a faint blue light. At this moment, Guanling couldn't help but open her eyes slightly. She had previously seemed to have closed her eyes, leaning against the edge of her seat, and now she gazed at one of the multiple screens closest to her. There was a red energy source reaction on it, the energy reaction close to the ruins. "Have you found it?" Guanling said. "Yes, that might be a clue," I said. A faint reaction suggested a rocky surface not far away, where something related to the ruins might lie. This is the result of my and the primordial spirit increasing the body's subtle energy threshold. "It's not far away," Guanling said again. I nodded slightly and said, "Let's land there and take a look." Chapter 240 Above the Desert. Soon after, we landed near the rubble-covered desert. We parked the aircraft on the sandy ground beside the rubble and disembarked, arriving one after another. Now, I could sense the presence of a similar energy source. Within the rubble before me, what appeared to be the remains of an ancient building, destroyed, remained only a few stone pillars and some surrounding rubble. I advanced towards the energy source, a short distance away. I gradually moved forward, Guanling silently following behind me. After a few steps, I reached the rubble. The ground was covered with gravel, mixed with yellow sand. Using my connection to the primordial spirit, I bent down, approached the sand, and touched it with my hand. I scraped away the sand, gently shaking off a few pieces of gravel, and searched for the energy source's center. After turning over the sand a few times, I grabbed a stone hidden in the sand. It was a faint glowing stone, and it was this that caused the machine to react. This stone might be connected to the ruins. Did you find it? Guanling asked, seeing the stone I was holding. I nodded. This is it. Is that all? Yeah, I can't sense anything else, I said. Then I left the gravel area and walked towards the machine's parking area. Let's go, I prompted, and Guanling followed. After that, we boarded the machine one after another, closed the cabin, and prepared to raise the machine. This is just a clue. Can we use this to find the ruins? Guanling said from the seat next to me. Compared to finding nothing, finding this is already a clue. Let's record this point, I said. Guanling did so, marking it on the map. We've found a related artifact. Perhaps this will lead us to the location of the ruins, Guanling said. I think so too. That's what the clues are. Time for afternoon exploration was running out, so we decided to explore the surrounding area. An hour passed quickly, yielding no results. The mech following behind us seemed to be watching our movements, becoming more cautious this time, observing from a distance. The crew might report our afternoon finds to their superiors, but we weren't on any secret mission, so there was nothing to worry about. Soon, our team arrived, and it was time to return to camp. Upon receiving this news, we flew straight towards the camp as usual. After a while, our mech, the Azure Heart, reached the base above the camp. After landing, we disembarked one after another, and the rest of Team C also landed at the same location. The mech that usually accompanied us also returned shortly thereafter. 17 people arrived in no time, within 15 minutes. The captain then asked, "Everyone, have you found anything today?" Many shook their heads or remained silent. I said, "Yes, we've found something that might be related to the ruins." With that, many eyes turned to us. I gestured for Guanling to take something out. She pulled it out from her pocket. The stone, wrapped in white cloth, was now emitting a faint glow. "Is this the item related to the ruins?" Captain Longjun asked. "That's right. My body's sensory abilities reacted this afternoon, but only slightly, so we only found this little clue." "Please don't be surprised," I said. "No, that's not the case. Finding this relevant clue is already a significant step forward." "Why should I be surprised?" Longjun said. The deputy captain then took the stone and examined it. Then, it was handed back to Captain Longjun, who also examined it. He could tell it wasn't just any stone. Longjun had visited these unique ruins before, and he could finally sense a similar glow. He then walked over and handed me the stone, saying, "This stone is what you found. Common sense suggests your perception abilities would be more effective with this. Let me take part of it to the lab." With that, Longjun removed a few small pieces of gravel from the edge of the stone. "Understood," I replied, accepting the stone. His judgment was likely quite correct. "Now that everyone's here, let's return to camp. Do not venture out at night without permission," Longjun said. Everyone dispersed, each heading towards the camp. I pocketed the stone and, along with Guanling, headed towards Camp C7, the barracks near the edge of the rocky outcrop. "The team leader is a very sensible person." Returning the stone, Guanling said. "Well, I wonder if this stone will be of any use to us," I said. We arrived at the entrance to Barrack C7 one after another and sat on the rocks outside, waiting. I took out the stone, examined it from top to bottom, and held it toward the sunlight, repeatedly testing it. I could even feel the energy within it now, and I was beginning to remember that feeling. Suddenly, the primordial spirit within me reacted, instantly leaving me and heading toward the nearby machine parked near the camp. Connected with the Azure Heart, I felt a sudden shift in perspective. The stone radiated a brighter light, perhaps a resonance of energy invisible to normal. The energy in my hand gradually transferred to the stone, and a beam of blue light suddenly emanated from it, traveling in a distant direction. I couldn't help but be stunned. The direction the beam of light was flying towards, could that be? "What is that?" Guanling, who was watching what was happening, asked. "Perhaps with the help of this stone, we can find the location of the ruins," I said. "Really?" "The captain made a correct judgment," Guanling said. "Perhaps. I wanted to go and confirm it now, but it was already break time, so I couldn't go. Then I had to put the stone away. We rested here for a while. Generally speaking, there was nothing else to do. On the other hand, we observed the situation here and waited for dinner time. While in this standby state, Suddenly someone came back in a hurry from the north of the desert, and then said to the guards there, "People from other organizations are disrupting our exploration mission. They fought in Area B3 not long ago." What? This is true. The enemy's firepower is particularly strong this time, and there are people with special abilities. They may be holders of raw stones or elements, the hurried soldier said. "How did you come back?" "I am responsible for coming back to pass on the message. The communication over there has been hindered, and the enemy has people with special abilities who can interfere with the radio waves," said the somewhat embarrassed soldier. Soon many soldiers understood the situation and contacted the main camp. After understanding the situation, the camp commander there ordered the dispatch of support troops. "Team B, go to Area B3 and prepare for rescue and suppression," said a man in his 30s in a white coat. He was the commander here, Xingze, who had come out in person after receiving the intelligence. Our captain, Longjun, also stepped forward and said, "Why don't I go too, leading a combat team?" "That's right. Just in case. You should also take the 3 natural-shaped mechas," Xingze said. "Understood." With that, Longjun, the deputy captain, and 2 other soldiers followed him. "We'll go with you," said Deputy Captain Lin Feng. "No problem. Since the situation is so urgent, let's go immediately," Longjun said. Then, he and his 3 companions headed towards the Mecha storage area. Guanling and I watched from a distance. We didn't go with them this time. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but since we have clues to the ruins, it's okay not to go. "Not going?" Guanling asked. "Well, since we were not called, there is no need," I replied. The current situation was clarified, and then I planned to leave from the group of 3 or 2 people there. On the way, the man in the white coat walked towards me, came in front of me and asked, "Student from Shangshuling College, how are you? Are you doing well?" "Not bad," I replied. "The relevant systems here must have caused you some trouble. Let's not talk about that for now. I heard that you found something related to the ruins in the search mission," Xingze said. "That's right, that may be one of the clues to finding the ruins," I responded. "It seems that you seem to have some clues." "That's right, your name is indeed Xingze," Xingze said. "Xingze, the woman with me is called Guanling," I replied. At this moment, Guanling was also standing silently beside us. "Then let's go to the main camp. Let's discuss the ruins. I'd also like to learn from you about the ruins, and about those illegal organizations, both before and now. It might help us progress our operations," I said. "Understood," Xingze said, then headed towards the central main camp. Guanling and I followed. Soon, we entered the main camp. In a small, one-on-one conversation room, Commander Xingze and I discussed the progress of the ruins exploration and the purpose of the stone. Guanling stood by and watched silently. After a short while, we concluded our conversation. As requested, we didn't get much information about a mysterious organization. They only said that it started happening a month ago and that they would provide some photos in response to my request. On the other hand, because I had shared the clue about the search for the ruins, the commander agreed to increase our freedom of movement starting tomorrow. After that, Guanling and I left the main camp. Chapter 241, Clues to the Ruins. In the evening, the sun set, and the desert sky turned a deep blue. It was 6 o'clock, and dinner was underway at the camp. Security had been heightened recently, following reports of a third-party attack. Guanling and I sat by the blazing fire pit, having just finished dinner and awaiting further developments. A moment later, several mechas approached from the west. The lookout and the equipment confirmed they were our own mechas. One of them looked familiar, the captain's gray Mecha. We signaled on our way over, and were quickly passed. Several mechas stopped at the Mecha parking area at the side of the camp. Several personnel, including our captain, emerged from the mechas one after another. Numerous soldiers stood outside to meet the soldiers as they prepared to disembark. Supported by another soldier inside, Longjun gradually disembarked. He appeared to have sustained a shoulder injury, and blood was visible through his clothes. "Are you alright, Captain Long?" a soldier on the sand asked. "I'm fine, just a minor scrape on my shoulder." "Let's go check on the other soldiers," Long said with a frown. He then landed on the ground with support, followed by mechas and armored vehicles. The wounded were of varying severity, but none of them seemed to be seriously injured. Longjun placed a hand on another soldier's shoulder, observing the situation around him. Then, the captain of Team D asked, "What's going on, Longjun? What happened to the West? This time, it seems particularly serious. Hearing this, Longjun said, many attackers have appeared in Area B3, including several natural-type mechas. They're primarily capable of unarmed and long-range combat, lacking firearms. The key point is the ambushers in the desert. Most of them are espers, possessing supernatural powers. Really? I haven't seen them in a while, and now they're back. I wonder what they're planning, the captain of Team D said. Let's not talk about that for now. Get the injured to the infirmary as soon as possible, Longjun said. You two, go to the infirmary first. Soldiers from Area B3 returned one after another, most of them wounded. Their mechas, armored vehicles, and search equipment had sustained significant damage. Judging from the group's actions, similar to their previous attempts, they were attempting to hinder the troops' search efforts. The injured were transferred to the infirmary near the main camp. Depending on the situation, those who couldn't recover quickly would be sent back to the new century capital. Gradually, the commotion subsided. Aside from the guards who stepped up their security, the soldiers from various divisions returned to camp, and a few began to eat. Afterward, we headed to the main camp and asked the commander for the latest intelligence on the third organization. We didn't get much, as we still couldn't pinpoint the organization's origins. However, we did receive a few recent photos of some of its members. That was a compromise between us and the commander, and we returned to Barracks C7. I looked through the photos of the members. Some wore masks, some appeared to possess special abilities, young men and women. They looked like they were likely members of some major organization, most likely the L. and the Three Alliances. Other dark organizations were less clear. After some quick checks, it was already late at night. According to local rules, lights out at 9:30. At about the same time, the lights went out in our barracks, which consisted of a living room and a bedroom. I lay on the sofa in the living room, while Guanling stayed in the bedroom. And so, another night in the desert ended. The next morning, after breakfast, we received word that Captain Long would be absent. Apparently, due to an injury, he wouldn't be able to participate in the exploration today or for the next week. Vice Captain Lin Feng assumed command of our team. That morning, we gathered outside the eastern section of the camp. Vice Captain Lin Feng announced, yesterday, a mysterious organization launched a surprise attack. Their motives and objectives are still unclear. This could be a sign of things to come. From today on, we must be even more cautious. We must strengthen our defenses and maintain vigilance. Today's exploration is still in the D2 area, and we still have 1/3 to complete. Everything else is fine, right? Lin Feng said. Hearing this, I said, I've received permission from the commander to conduct an off-bounds exploration today. Did you hear about that? Yes, I did. It seems you found a clue, so you're free to proceed. But as you know about what happened yesterday, 2 mechas will accompany you today. That's what I'm going to tell you next. I see, I said, nodding slightly. Guanling, beside me, also nodded slightly. Well, if there are no further problems, we'll be setting off soon. Everyone, take your positions, Lin Feng said. The soldiers all headed for their respective positions, some heading for armored vehicles, some for helicopters, and some for nature-shaped mechas. We also headed towards the Azure Heart. After completing our preparations, led by the deputy captain's Mecha in the front, we set off towards the desert's D2 area. After a while, we gradually reached D2. Here, under the captain's instructions, the various teams dispersed in various directions. We paused for a moment. Based on my previous attempts yesterday, through the connection between the primordial spirit and the Mecha, the stone would emit a blue light, pointing towards the distance. That direction indeed passed near D2. I once again took out the stone and injected some energy into it. This caused the stone to emit even more light, transforming into a blue beam that reflected the distance. That direction was northeast. According to the map, it was near the center of the desert. We had to pass through Area E3 before making a final assessment. Is that the place? Guanling asked. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get to Area E3 first and see, I said. We then slightly changed our trajectory, heading towards Area E3. As the new captain had said, there were indeed 2 natural-shaped mechas following us not far away. That was a good thing, though. To quickly understand the significance of the direction the stone pointed, I increased my speed. Area E3 was quite a distance from Area D2. The mechas flew at high speed for a while. The two mechas behind us also tried to keep up, but even if we went faster, they wouldn't be able to keep up. We continued at this speed for 20 minutes. I gradually slowed down. We were approaching area E3. I took out the stone again and, using the same method as before, injected energy into it. In this state, the stone emitted a blue light, then pointed a linear beam of light into the distance, slightly to the right of us. The light was pointing downward, presumably because we were at a low to medium altitude. However, judging by the direction of the beam this time, the target location wasn't far away. After confirming, I increased my speed again. The plane's wings emitted a faint glow as it sped forward like an eruption. After traveling a distance, the plane gradually slowed and stopped. The Yuanling sensed something, and I recognized it as being somewhere nearby. I used the stone again, and a blue beam pointed down from below. It was very close, within a few hundred meters. I locked onto my position using the in-plane screen and pointed in the direction of the beam. Not far away, there was a stone pillar. It stood in the desert nearby, surrounded by rubble. "Found it," I said. "Is that it?" Guanling said. "Let's go take a look." With that, the plane descended toward the area nearby, and we emerged from it onto the desert. Right before my eyes, the stone in my hand seemed to have a similar feel to the stone pillar before us. The stone pointed to this very spot, beneath the pillar. I approached the pillar, stepping into its shadow. The stone in my hand seemed to resonate subtly with it. "Sure enough, this stone and this pillar are similar," I said. "Part of the ruins," Guanling said. "That's right," I thought. "The energy source I sensed here might not be enough. A ruin's energy source must be much greater, so this place is similar to the previous one, and here are the remains of the ruins. So, if we want to find the ruins, we need to further confirm the direction through this stone pillar." Thinking this, I reached out and touched the stone pillar, sending energy into it. The stone pillar then glowed slightly, forming a blue beam that shot off in a different direction in the distance. "Is this a new direction?" Guanling asked. "Yes, the end of that beam might be the location of the ruins. Let's record it later." I then removed a stone fragment from the broken hole in the stone pillar. Through the fragment, I confirmed that the stone's light was pointing to another point in the distance, still towards the center of the desert. After confirming this, Guanling and I returned to the machine. After boarding the mechas one after another, they ascended into the sky. With a little over an hour remaining, we could still make our way to the next location. "This location has been recorded. We can proceed to the next one," Guanling said. "I understand." Confirming the direction indicated by the light, we continued on to the next location. The two mechas behind us followed closely behind our mechas. Perhaps we could find something next time. Chapter 242 Gradually approaching. The next location, as indicated by the beam, is roughly within the F2 area. We headed straight for it, while the two nature-shaped mechas behind us followed, communicating with us along the way. One of the pilots asked, "Team C, Xingze, did you find anything just now? Where are we heading next?" "We've found a clue related to the ruins. We're heading northwest, roughly toward the F2 area," I replied. "Really? Next time you need to change your flight location, let us know. Don't suddenly fly off at high speed. Certain destinations require confirmation, as they are particularly dangerous," the pilot replied. "Understood." After a brief exchange, I disconnected. There was nothing much to say. Our goal was to quickly find the ruins. After the conversation, I accelerated toward my next target. After about half an hour of high-speed flight, we approached the desert of Area F2. Using the stone's power to confirm our exact location, the beam of light guided us to a point not far away, roughly the same distance as before. My perception was fairly accurate. We continued toward the target, and after a while, we were almost at the center. The machine's sensory abilities allowed us to sense the target's reaction, and the sapphire crystal within the machine shimmered faintly. I felt something as well, so I headed towards the target. Not far ahead, there was a small rock formation with a cave in that direction. The machine landed near the cave. While it looked like the side of the ruins, the energy response wasn't quite right. It was a bit too weak. We immediately disembarked and prepared to head into the cave. Guanling and I didn't react much. We both understood that this place didn't look like the location of the ruins, but there might be clues there, so we had to go in. Guided by the stone, we headed into the pitch-black cave tunnel. I pulled out my flashlight to illuminate the path ahead. After walking a distance, I could gradually sense the energy source that held clues to the ruins. We continued inside until we reached the end. There, using the flashlight, I spotted a portion of the ruins, atop the rock face at the end. There was a diagram of the structure, which meant we'd already found the ruins. Found it? Guanling asked questioningly. Well, if it's just a ruin, this would qualify, but probably only a portion, I said. Deep within the wall, a faint glow occasionally emanated, but I couldn't sense any other similar locations. This time, I removed some of the rubble from the rock wall and injected energy into it. The stone began to glow, then directed itself in the form of a blue beam. Apparently, that wasn't working, so I reached out and touched the rock wall again, doing the same thing as before. More light emanated from the rock wall, and then the beam shot outward. Sure enough, there are other places, I said. But I can't see the direction the blue light is pointing from here, Guanling said. That's about right. I can sense the direction the beam is heading. Really? Anyway, I'll make a note of it, Guanling said. Although many questions came to mind, there wasn't much to say. Let's go back, I said. With that, we headed back out of the cave. Along the way, we sensed the presence of someone entering. We cautiously made our way out and encountered two soldiers at the cave entrance. One of the soldiers opposite asked, "Did you find anything in there?" The other soldier said, "It seems like we've been waiting a while. So we came in." Hearing this, I said, "It's probably part of the ruins in this desert." "Ruins? In there?" The soldier looked a little surprised. "Yes, but it's probably incomplete," I said. "Really? Anyway, let me take a look," the soldier said, preparing to head inside. At this moment, another soldier said, "Today's exploration is almost over. Let's go in for a quick check and take some photos. Then we'll head back to camp." "We have to hurry." "That's right, then we'll head out," I said. We immediately crossed paths with the two soldiers. This was a crucial point, but not the end. After that, we headed inside the aircraft, boarded one after another, and then started up, slowly rising into the sky. Guanling silently took notes, then said, "Do you know where the next location is?" "Roughly speaking, it's near Area G3, I said, pointing to the area on the map. "Really? We don't have enough time to go any further. Should we turn back?" Guanling said. Indeed, with a few minutes left before the return trip, we paused in the air for a moment, and the two soldiers emerged. A moment later, the new captain also received a reminder that it was time to return to camp. With that, we turned around and flew straight towards the camp. After a long flight, it took us a while to reach the camp. After all, since we had been granted permission to move further away from the camp, we were among the last to arrive. We were 20 minutes late. Two other mechas arrived even later than us, but this time we had something to gain. The captain probably also received information from the two soldiers there. A short while later, two more dark mechas arrived at the camp, disembarking and trotting towards the rendezvous. Seeing them, the new captain, Lin Feng, said, "You're nearly 25 minutes late. I heard you found the location of that special ruin." "Well, we followed Xingze and the others to the location that holds part of the ruins," one of the soldiers said. "On average, one mech can hold 2 to 3 people, more would be too much trouble. For Guanling and me, that's just right. They probably also have 2 people per mech. We've already recorded the location, and we've also taken some debris and photos from the ruins. We'll hand them over to the research department later," another soldier said. "Really? Then let's do it," the new captain said, his eyes unsurprised. "We'll work in pairs. It seems to me that at least one of the pilots of the 2 mechas is responsible for surveillance, while the other is accompanying us on our mission. I can sense something a little strange. It's probably a system issue, they don't want to miss anything." After that, we returned to the center of the camp to prepare for the night. Chapter 243 Arrival. That evening, information about the ruins spread. The commander and others discussed the details. The truth about the ruins, what they were, was still known only to very few the next day. Thanks to yesterday's decision, the camp's higher-ups generally understood the location and identity of the person who had found the ruins. Guanling and I, having repeatedly found clues to the ruins, were the ones closest to the truth. This morning, our team, Team C, underwent a restructuring. Half of the team, led by me, will begin the latest investigation. That's right, I think it's only natural. The other half will go to the cave where the ruins were previously discovered, and other researchers from the First Area Special Forces will also investigate there. 10 people will be traveling with us this morning, including the new team leader. After gathering, we set off, heading in the direction I sensed, Area G3. With me at the head, the team headed towards the center of the desert. The journey was quite long, and today, except for the helicopters, all other aerial vehicles were natural-shaped Mecha units. According to the itinerary, reaching Area G3 would take about 2 hours. Our machines were all flying at high speed, with me in the lead, followed closely by the others. The Divine Stone and the key, our current target was the key. Gradually accelerating, our machines gained speed, making it difficult for the others behind us to keep up. The captain warned me not to go too fast. An hour and 35 minutes later, we arrived at the G3 zone. According to my previous prediction, it was nearby. Depending on the location, the stone might release a target with a similar aura. So, I tried again, using the stone's power to locate my position. I pulled out the stone, injected energy into it, and released a blue beam, which shot out toward the nearby front. Then, we headed in that direction. We were still some distance away, and as I predicted, the stone might point to a similar location closer to us. Further ahead, we reached our target a moment later. The next location was before us, a stone tower. It wasn't the end yet. After disembarking from the mech, I arrived in front of the stone tower to check it out. As I reached out and touched the face of the stone tower, I gradually sensed a different dimension, not far away, yet so close. Different because it felt different. Touching the stone tower felt like entering a different world. It was truly baffling. We were almost there, the end of our journey. A moment later, Guanling joined us. She had been planning to wait in the mech, but she had unknowingly arrived. Approaching us, she said, "I sense it. We're almost there." Where's the target?" Guanling asked again. "Very close," I asked. "Walk there," Guanling asked. "That's fine, then let's go." With that, we headed in another direction, to the west of the stone tower. The following mech units and the disembarked members also made their way towards us. The new captain contacted us. "How's it going? Have you found any clues?" "Yes, that stone pillar over there is a clue," I said. "Where are you going?" the new captain, Lin Feng, asked. "Maybe the terminal," I said. "Really? Then I'll go with you," Lin Feng said, and ended the call. He immediately dismounted from the mech. A group of members were already heading toward the stone tower to confirm its location. Seeing this, Lin Feng told them to ignore the tower and follow us. Make a note of the stone tower's location and continue with the student. "We're probably nearing the terminal," Lin Feng said. "Understood," several soldiers responded, following Captain Lin Feng in our direction. Including the captain, there were 7 of us with us. They were all dressed in dark blue uniforms, some armed with batons, others with rifles and other weapons. They followed the 2 of us, advancing several hundred meters, gradually moving away from the stone pillar we had been following. In today's strong wind, the stone pillar was barely visible, appearing only indistinctly. "Are we almost there?" "We've walked quite a distance, and the wind's still strong," Lin Feng asked. "Not far," I said. With that, we continued walking. Guanling and I walked almost side by side, with Captain Lin Feng standing on my other side, and the others following behind. After walking a little further, I stopped, and Guanling did the same. Captain Lin Feng and the soldiers following him paused, standing in the windswept desert. "What's wrong? Are you around here?" Captain Lin Feng asked. "Yes, but I can't find it." "It's a little strange," I said. The strange feeling I felt from touching the stone tower was like a door to another world. "So, where exactly is the door?" "I feel it's nearby, yet incredibly far away. The problem is, I can't see it." "Xingze, you can do it," Guanling said, gently tugging at the corner of my shirt. I glanced at her silently, then back at the desert. "Can I do it?" My wish was, to find that place. The meaning of coming here, the meaning beyond that. For a moment, I was in a state of slight confusion. It was like I could see a door, but couldn't reach it. I moved my hands silently, everything seemed ambiguous. Then, in my blurry vision, I seemed to see a ray of light, a golden light, ahead, as if guiding me through the chaos. Suddenly, a blue light, similar in color to the stone, emanated from me. It spread out, enveloping the surroundings and extending further into the distance. Wherever it covered, it was as if a film had been removed. At that moment, I saw the entrance to that incredible space, not far ahead. The doorway emanated a faint golden glow, and I couldn't help but head towards it. Guanling followed soon after. On the other side, Lin Feng and the soldiers, seemingly still unable to grasp the situation and not sensing the same thing as us, followed suit. I gradually reached the golden doorway and walked inside. Guanling followed behind me, and Lin Feng and several soldiers followed in, following my lead. After entering the golden gate, there was a stone chamber, paved with flat stone bricks, neat and regular, with a faint golden light shining in front of the road. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 The Divine Stone and the Key. Before me lay a vast, majestic space, gleaming with orbs on either side, making the space illuminate even without fire or sunlight. It gave it a rather mysterious feel. Where exactly is this place? Lin Feng asked. We were indeed in the desert just now. Is this the entrance to something? A mirage, a soldier said. No, this is probably where you're looking for, I said. Then I began to walk toward the dignified avenue, Guanling following suit. As we advanced, Lin Feng and several other soldiers followed suit. Captain Lin Feng, upon hearing my words, pondered the location they were looking for, the key. Furthermore, this place could also be considered a natural relic. According to ancient legend, the ruins were hidden by the four gods to prevent excessive natural damage. Perhaps in anticipation of future events, the legend states that the ruins will reappear this century, and at that time, a key will be born. Lin Feng wasn't quite sure what the key's purpose was, but it was undoubtedly a priceless treasure. Ruins, key, Lin Feng mumbled. We advanced along the elegant path, passing the diagonal bend ahead and continuing deeper into the area. Not far ahead lay a brilliant expanse. A miraculous golden glow shone, visible and palpable. Atop the stone steps not far away stood a cyan-red stone platform. Atop the platform sat an object, elliptical at one end and arrowhead at the other. It was black and gold, surrounded by intertwined outlines, reminiscent of a vajra. The key wasn't the shape, but the object's presence. The light shone before my eyes, moving something, a subtle sense of familiarity. I couldn't help but stand on the stone steps, gazing at the object above. Lin Feng and 6 soldiers approached from behind, also observing what lay ahead. The end of the ruins. If it wasn't the key, where was it? It was the key. Found it. It's the key, Lin Feng confirmed. That's it. As Lin Feng spoke, he and the soldier arrived in front of us. The man stared at the object on the stone platform, his eyes widening. He slowly walked towards the stone steps. The object he had been searching for so long was right before his eyes. Lin Feng took slow steps, gradually approaching the stone steps and the stone itself. The key. Just as he was about to reach out and touch it, near the edge of the stone platform, a flash of light suddenly appeared. Black and white light flickered as if eyes were open and closed, stopping Lin Feng in his tracks. What is going on? Lin Feng asked, a look of confusion and fear. At this moment, due to the strange phenomenon before them, the depths of the stone chamber were constantly flickering, causing the soldiers to become uneasy, wondering what had happened. Perhaps it was because the key had rejected him. I understood. Like waves on the sea, my heart was turbulent, filled with doubts. The key, should I go and get it? Before, I had only wanted to find it, but now that it was right in front of me, a different question arose. Lin Feng, the man on the stone platform, was eager to make a contribution and reached for the key again. Amidst a flickering black and white light, a green-orange figure swooped down from behind, closing in on Lin Feng. Its side punched the man standing in front of the platform, striking him in the side of the face. The blow sent him flying against a nearby stone wall, where he fell to the ground, momentarily unable to move. What happened? A soldier asked. The green-orange figure was new to the group, and for a moment, they were confused as to what had happened and where it had come from. What is that? A primordial spirit, another soldier asked. Captain Lin Feng, are you alright? As the soldiers frantically glanced around in disgust, I had already ascended the stone steps and arrived in front of the platform. I gazed upon the object before me, the thing called the key. The puzzle and turmoil that had gripped me since the beginning of this mission now dawned on me. The cause of this turmoil was related to the primordial stone within me. The true reason was clear to me now. My primordial spirit was seeking the key, and I shared the same desire. Then the choice was made, and the choice was to take the key. I reached out, and Yuanling Ko did the same. We each reached for the key. At that moment, the soldiers behind us seemed to catch on, realizing the situation. The one who had knocked the captain away was the one standing on the stone steps. Student Li Xingze. Wait, you knocked the captain away, and you're going to take the key? Don't move. One of the soldiers assigned to monitor the situation raised his rifle and pointed it at me. Hearing this, I glanced slightly to the side. Several soldiers then pointed their guns at me, glaring sternly. Traitor, don't touch that stone platform, the soldier, who seemed to have been assigned specifically to monitor me, shouted. Don't move, I didn't know what they were talking about. I tried to pick up the key, but the captain couldn't take it. Instead, it emitted a light towards me. It was as if telling me that I was the one to take it. I reached out, toward the stone platform, and instantly, Yuanling and I took the key. Damn it. I told you not to move, the soldier pointing his rifle at me glared fiercely, ready to shoot. Suddenly, a dark, unidentified object extended from beneath his feet, coiling around the soldier's arms and legs like a serpent, deflecting his aim. He fired a single shot into the stone wall. What is this? Not only the soldier watching me, but the remaining 5 soldiers were instantly enveloped by the black aura, frozen in place. What is this, black? The soldier asked anxiously, unsure of what was happening. Upon closer inspection, he saw eyes within the substance entwined with the black aura, dark red eyes. They were demonic eyes, infinitely fragmenting. Under these circumstances, the soldiers gradually lost their strength, their weapons falling to the ground. They missed a red-haired girl standing behind them. Xingze, well done, Guanling said, a hint of crimson in her eyes. For a moment, I knew it was her doing. Damn it, this woman did it. By this time, one soldier had grasped the situation. Is that the student's companion? We were careless. The soldiers, realizing the situation, collapsed to the ground one after another, their life force drained away, momentarily unable to move. Guanling, you, Xingze, it's not wrong for you to take the key now. It's yours, Guanling said. I was puzzled by Guanling's power, which bordered on demonic. But right now, the key in my hand, what is it? It should be given to Yuanling Ko. You now possess the sacred stone and the key. It's time to awaken. Xingze, hand the key to the sacred stone spirit. Wait, you just said you already knew. What's the meaning of that? I asked. Guanling's expression was slightly cold. You're the one I chose. I understood this a while ago. There's no need to send the key anywhere. There's no need to give it to the boss of the first area. You were the one guided here, not the others. It's more correct to give it to you than to give it to anyone else. This is the natural choice, Xingze. Because I love you, I understand you, Guanling. Alright, make your choice, Guanling said. Questions remained, but above all else, the most important priority was choosing the key. This object, as hard as stone, rested in my hand. To whom should I give it? The answer was obvious, even without Guanling's words. I slowly handed the key to the primordial spirit beside me. Seeing this, Ko took the key with a slightly more serious look than usual. Looking at the key, Ko raised it upward. Suddenly, a radiance erupted from the key center. A mystical, multicolored light rippled outward, covering the entire stone chamber and spreading beyond. It spread across the desert, perhaps even briefly obscuring the entire earth. As the light gradually faded, I saw Kayodaka, the same creature I had seen before in the Golden Kingdom. Dressed in a dazzling platinum garment, its lower body a cyan red, it seemed to exude a pleasant aura. It had evolved to a dimension unlike any other primordial spirit. A reassuring aura emanated from its surroundings. This is what you wished for, I said. Kayodaka nodded slightly. I'm glad you've accomplished it. This is just the beginning, Ko said. Is that so? A moment later, Kayodaka vanished from my sight. It still existed with me, I could sense it. The key was gone. It was settled. I then turned my gaze to Guanling and asked, what is this? Is this the outcome you hoped for? No, this is the beginning. Just as the spirit said, what will happen next? Can't you imagine? Guanling said. The key disappeared, taken by me. What will happen next? What will it be? I don't understand. What will happen? I asked. Fools, you are hindering the mission of the first area special forces. Of course you must be eliminated, said Lin Feng, the man who had been knocked to the side by the stone wall. He tried to use the communicator to contact outside support, but Guanling's elusive demonic eye appeared before him, piercing the communicator like a black thorn. Lin Feng grunted, and then said, "Even so, it's useless. What we say here has been heard by the guards outside," Lin Feng said. "Really?" Guanling said disdainfully. Then, under the influence of the demonic eye, Lin Feng collapsed. Chapter 245 The Truth About the Third Party. All the soldiers had fallen, and as I descended the stone steps, for a moment, I sensed the presence of my own kind. Perhaps, far away, both sides understood. "Xingze, there is something important I haven't told you," Guanling said. "What is it?" I walked past a pile of fallen soldiers' bodies, came to Guanling's side and said, "There is not much time now. The boss in the first area is probably preparing to carry out a huge plan. As far as I know, it should be to utilize the energy used to create these natural relics. If it happens, something shocking will definitely happen," Guanling said. "Boss, is it the man named Pulin?" "Yes, in short, we must take action as soon as possible now. There should be other people who understand besides us, that is, the third-party organization that has been constantly hindering this special force before," Guanling said. "Really? Why do you know these things?" I asked Guanling. "The man in the first area is very hidden, both on the surface and inside. His real name is Pulin. I was his assistant a long time ago. According to the calendar, I was 6 years old. That man has a deep mind and a major secret hidden by him," Guanling said. "I have heard about the topic of Guanling's life experience, but I only know a little bit. According to you, what should we do best?" I asked. "That depends on your choice. Now that we've taken a key, it's only a matter of time before this information is exposed. As the soldier just said, we'll be targeted and likely eliminated," Guanling said. "The enemy is the first area, a powerful force. The first area's commander possesses power comparable to that of the generals in Clay City. From Guanling's perspective, this relationship began with our opposition. Yes, so we must make a choice, return honestly, or take another path," Guanling said. "The potential problems in the first area are, first of all, uncertain, even if Guanling says so. Then there's the issue of the key. It seems all these problems have gradually emanated from this key. And the key will never return. It has allowed my original spirit to ascend to a new level. This means the mission has failed. More than that, the failure is my fault, and the responsibility I will bear will likely be more than simple. I believe Guanling's words. If I go to the first area now, I will face punishment, and it will likely be serious. I may even be eliminated. This is a reasonable assumption, but it's missing something crucial. You haven't mentioned the key point, Guanling. If the first area is dangerous, I won't go back. Just let me confirm what that man's goal is, what he wants to do," I asked. Guanling replied, "What he's triggering is something with profound implications for this planet. I don't understand the specifics. The first half is fine, but you're trying to evade me with your words after that, Guanling." "I understand. Now, are you deceiving me?" I replied, a little coldly. "Really? Okay then. Let's get out of here first. You decide how to proceed based on the situation," Guanling said, unwaveringly. "Okay," I nodded and began to walk outside. Guanling followed, asking, "By the way, what should we do with these people?" "Deal with them." She was referring to the soldiers at my feet, some of whom were still slightly moving. "Don't worry about them. They'll get up soon." "That's enough time for us to leave," I said. I could sense the soldier's state. "Really? That's fine too." Upon hearing this, Guanling's slightly crimson eyes flickered with a hint of intelligence. Black objects seemed to penetrate various parts of the soldiers. Guanling then continued with me, heading toward the stone chamber's door. I could sense her every movement, but I didn't want to say anything right now. After a while, we reached the entrance, which led outside, shrouded in a thick mist. With me in the lead, we passed through it one after another and finally emerged into the outside world. The desert was still blowing a strong dust storm. Our next destination was to return to the stone tower where the Mecha had been parked. We'd go there to retrieve the Mecha. Having decided to do so, I knew the direction of the stone tower. It wasn't too far away. We continued toward that spot, Guanling silently following. After a while, we could see the stone tower standing in front of us. I could sense a few people not far away. That wasn't surprising. There were several others besides us guarding the area where the Mecha had been parked. But the situation seemed grim. There was a sense of fighting spirit, as if a conflict was underway. Not long after, we arrived near the stone tower. We could see the scene before us, 4 Mechas, including our own, the Azure Heart, and a helicopter. 2 of the dark Mechas and the helicopter were destroyed. The 3 guards lay at the feet of a dark, natural-shaped Mecha, still unused, parked near the tower. Not far away, besides the soldiers, there were figures of a third party. They were likely the cause of the commotion. Looking around, there were at least 6 of them, spread out on the sand, and even in the sky. Oh, isn't that the third party? The ones who were guarding earlier have also been killed, Guanling said, feigning surprise, her tone still somewhat cold. Don't lie, you killed those 3, I said. I knew the 3 people lying next to the dark, natural-shaped Mecha were the ones who had stayed behind. Perhaps, as Captain Lin Feng had said, they had overheard our conversation in the mysterious stone chamber. Before they could do anything, they were struck down by Guanling's power, the same force that had previously dealt with the 6 men in the stone chamber. Oh, really? Guanling said with a stern expression, tilting her head to the side. There was no time to worry about Guanling. I took in the situation. It seemed that reinforcements had arrived from the first sector. They had encountered a third-party organization that had arrived out of nowhere, and a battle had ensued. From the current situation, the first sector's reinforcements were nearly wiped out. Too few in number, they were no match for the organization's espers and their surprise attacks. The first sector's reinforcements were being shot down one after another, some escaping their cabins, while others, realizing the situation was dire, retreated. This was a perfect opportunity. One of my questions was why the third-party organization was interested in such a conflict with the first sector's troops in such a place. I wanted to know. After the battle over there ended, I began to approach them. As I approached, several young men and a woman in brown cloaks noticed me. They looked wary, ready to attack. I understood the situation, but I had no intention of engaging them. When I was a short distance from them, I stopped and said, "Excuse me, who are you?" As I spoke, the blue-haired young man with a headband standing to my left suddenly lunged, wielding a unique triangular lightning blade, charging head-on, clearly showing no trust in me. In an instant, I turned slightly and headed forward, instantly approaching the other woman with swift steps. Startled by the suddenness of my presence, she took a slight step back, but she immediately drew the sword from her waist and slashed at me. The white sword, with its subtle ripples, slashed to a halt 50 centimeters from me, blocked by an invisible aura, instantly breaking. A golden light suddenly emanated from me, a powerful aura that sent the green-haired, cloaked woman flying back. "I want to talk, not fight," I said. "You are." The green-haired woman, now flung back and lying on the sand, slowly turned her gaze towards me, hesitating. She observed me more closely, her gaze shifting as if sensing something, and she gradually climbed up from the sand. "Are you the one who got the key?" She seemed to understand the key, and I replied, "Yes, I did." Hearing this, the green-haired woman, dressed in a white gray cloth and a cloak, adjusted her clothes to brush off the sand clinging to her body, and asked respectfully, "Excuse me, what is your name?" "I'm Xingze," I replied. For some reason, her demeanor suddenly changed. "Xingze, what a beautiful name. I'm so sorry for being so rude earlier." The young woman then bent down, kneeling, her right knee on the ground, her head slightly lowered. "Wait, what are you doing?" I asked, moving to the woman's side, attempting to help her up. "No, I was blind and ignorant, and acted disrespectfully." "You are a leader," the green-haired woman said as she slowly stood up. "Leader? What do you mean? Who are you?" "Excuse me. I'm Zhou Qing, a subordinate of the Green Alliance," the green-haired woman said. After introducing herself, she continued, "By the Master's orders, I have come to the desert to await the key. According to the Master, the person who holds the key is the king, and we must bring that person to the Green Alliance's hidden camp." "Really? How do the Green Alliance know this?" I asked. "I was sent here because of my special discernment. It was just so sudden that I failed to recognize you as the one who holds the key," Zhou Qing said. At this moment, the blue-haired young man who had rashly attacked me lowered his head slightly, as if admitting his mistake. I, on the other hand, still hadn't figured anything out. Guanling, on the other side, simply watched from a distance. Everything was connected. What was clear was that the Green Alliance was the third party. Chapter 246, heading towards a new place. Beside the stone tower, a different situation unfolded. You didn't answer my question just now. I'm not entirely sure about the current situation. What exactly is going on? I asked again. The green-haired woman, Zhou Qing, replied, that's not surprising. I suggest you return to our camp first. After that, we'll gradually understand the situation, as it's a complex one. Hearing this, I pondered the decision. The choice now lay between returning to the first area special team, the Holy Water Spirit Academy, and the current Green Alliance camp. Guanling approached and said, go there, it should be relatively safe. She suggested the Green Alliance. Based on the current situation, if the first area harbored a conspiracy and established itself as a hostile force, then the Holy Water Spirit Academy within that area might not be a safe place either. Therefore, the third option made more sense. As Guanling suggested, I said, okay, I'll go with you to the Green Alliance. That's a wise decision, Master Xingze, Zhou Qing praised, calling for the others to lead the way. No need to be so polite, compared to this, I said. At that moment, several special members of the Green Alliance were approaching me, offering to guide me. However, I could already sense reinforcements from the first area special forces heading our way. The first area team is coming, I said. Really? Those damned fellows, are they here again? Zhou Qing suddenly revealed a slightly hostile look. She gazed to the southwest, where, in the distance, the Mechas approached. To ruin our welcome just when we were about to greet the king? Damn it, said the blue-haired youth with a headband. Destroy them. The Green Alliance members, their eyes less gentle, seemed to be brimming with fighting spirit. Suddenly, a white mech approached at high speed. The pilot inside spotted me not far away and immediately stopped above the desert, between the Green Alliance members and me. What's going on? Only one, a member of the Green Alliance asked. Look at that mech. It's probably not an ordinary natural-shaped mech, Zhou Qing said. At that moment, a voice emanated from the mech. Exactly. I'm the commander of the first area special forces, a top tier 1. I'd heard that voice before. It was indeed the commander, Xingze. Is that the boss? A mech in the sky, with its right arm, raked the white mech from above at an oblique angle. As the barrage of bullets descended, the white mech dodged like the wind, hovering in midair. Damn it, the mech, displeased, swung its beam sword towards it. The white mech simply tilted its hand, facing the mech with a palm, unleashing a dark blue beam that shot it down. Wait a minute, I'm not here to fight, Xingze said. At that moment, the white mech also raised its hand to signal for a halt, then slowly landed on the sand. Don't talk nonsense. You're just trying to buy time, the blue-haired youth said. There were no other reinforcements around the mech. That's unnecessary. I alone am enough for you. What did you say? Arrogant fellow. I'll whittle your mech down to scrap metal, the blue-haired youth said again, his body now occasionally pulsing with blue electricity. Zhou Qing stopped him, saying, wait a minute, let's hear what he has to say. Hearing this, Xingze said, the young lady here seems more approachable. One of the reasons I came here is because of that student over there, Xingze. He then emerged from the mech and pointed at me. For a moment, everyone in the Green Alliance gnashed their teeth, seemingly finding it difficult to endure. You seem to have obtained the key. Congratulations, you have completed this mission. Now, come back to the camp with me. Xingze disembarked from the machine and said to the desert land. Don't joke. You Bang's guy, that's our boss, Zhou Qing responded firmly. Shut up. Xingze, come back with me. I came here for this. If you complete this mission, we will give you a generous reward and you can be promoted to the title of King City, Xingze said. Hearing this, I said, completed the mission? No, the key is gone. It's okay, I won't pursue this with you. You found it all, don't listen to his nonsense, boss, Zhou Qing said beside me. At this time, Xingze also looked at Guanling on the other side of me and said, Guanling, you should also persuade him. Look, everything that happened in the natural ruins before can be regarded as never happening. You can all come to the King City. Hearing this, Guanling slowly took a few steps forward. There's nothing to say to you. Fool. At this moment, a dark figure appeared around Xingze. Multiple black, unidentified objects swirled around him like snakes, suddenly entwining his legs and then his hands. You, damn it, what is this? His strength was stripped away, his life force gradually absorbed. Under the ravages of the demonic eye, Xingze gradually collapsed. "Leave this place," Guanling said. Then she turned and walked towards me, her eyes gradually dimming. "You'll regret this," Xingze, who had collapsed, said as he was about to lose consciousness. "Idiot, you actually emerged from your body on your own? How foolish," said the blue-haired young man. "All right, boss, let's prepare to leave as soon as possible. Their reinforcements may be arriving soon," said Zhou Qing. "I understand," I replied. At Zhou Qing's direction, a multi-person mecha approached from a distance. "Let's take that one," Zhou Qing said. "No need. Our mecha is over there," Guanling said, pointing to a blue mecha parked near a stone pillar. "Is that so?" Zhou Qing asked. "Yes, that's my special mecha," I said. "Then please follow us," Zhou Qing said. A faint green light emerged from his hand, transforming into a vine that wrapped around the hatch of the tall mecha parked before him. Then, grasping the vine in one hand, he leaped up. Following his instructions, the Green Alliance members boarded their mechas one after another. Huafei, a young man with blue hair and a headband, one of the remaining members, spotted the white mecha not far away and said, "That mecha seems quite good. We'll take it." He approached the white mecha and touched it. His primal spirit entered the mecha, connecting with the crystal within. After a brief adjustment, he took control of the white mecha. Then he set the mecha into motion. "This is our trophy, right? Can we take it back?" Huafei asked Zhou Qing, who was standing on the other side. "Disconnect all the external connections and any potential transmitters within the mecha, and we'll be able to take it back," Zhou Qing said. "Really? That's not difficult for me," Huafei said, possessing a precise ability to sense and manipulate radio waves and electrical currents. After everyone quickly prepared for departure, the mechas took off one after another, flying off at high speed. The mechas Guanling and I were riding followed a large black and red mecha. Chapter 247 Base. Heading towards the Green Alliance's hidden base, near the New Century capital, it was another long journey. Several nature-shaped mechas soared above the ocean, about to cross it to the opposite continent. We were piloting the Azure Heart, following the massive black and red A-plus mecha ahead of us. Several hours had already passed. At this moment, a communication came from the higher-ups at the Holy Water Spirit Academy. The caller was Chief Researcher Zhou Wenqiu, whose face appeared on the screen in front of me. "Li Xingze, how's the mission going?" Zhou Wenqiu asked, his expression slightly distorted. "It failed. We're planning to move on to another target," I replied. "Wait, before that, let's go back to the academy and report back," Zhou Wenqiu said hurriedly. I cut off the communication midway. There was nothing much to say. Given the current situation, I didn't have time to return. I continued to follow the black and red mecha ahead. The sun was setting, and the sky above the ocean was a dark blue. A short while later, Zhou Qing called in, "Master Xingze, please pay attention to who you're communicating with. Exposing the key's location isn't a good sign for us, as we're still a secret organization." "Really? I understand. We won't be communicating with the outside world anymore," I replied. "Thank you for your assistance," Zhou Qing said, ending the call with me. He then addressed everyone, "Hurry up. It's getting dark soon. We need to cross the sea before 7 o'clock. Don't leave any holes for the enemy. Be mindful of your surroundings." "Understood," the members replied in quick succession. Afterward, we followed the group across the sea, arriving at exactly the time Zhou Qing had predicted. 6:55 p.m. By then, the sun had completely set, and the sky was dark. We're scheduled to arrive at the base around 8 a.m. New Century Capital has increased its surveillance area within our current area, so please be extra cautious, Zhou Qing said. We then continued our flight for a while, crossing borders between large and small nations and several mountain ranges. According to the map, we were approaching the New Century Capital area. According to Zhou Qing's instructions, the secret base was located nearby. After about half an hour, Zhou Qing said, "We're almost within range. Next, we'll go into stealth mode and reach the hidden base in one go." Everyone responded, "Understood." I was a little confused, so I asked, "What is stealth mode?" Stealth mode is the secret technique of our Green Alliance Special Squad. It's similar to camouflage, but it can block external satellite detection and obscure the line of sight of searchers, Zhou Qing replied. At this moment, several mechas formed a triangle formation, each member activating their abilities. For a moment, The triangle was bathed in a pale green light. Their movements became difficult to see with the naked eye, but my superior sensory abilities allowed me to sense their presence. Master Xingze, please move within this circle. This way, you won't be detected. This is a protective barrier that blocks external electronic surveillance equipment, Zhou Qing said. Understood. Upon hearing this, I piloted my mecha into the triangle formation. In this stealth mode, the team moved in an orderly fashion, gradually accelerating. After another period of flight, we arrived at a vast jungle area. According to the map, this is the border of the Age jungle. It's relatively close to the new century capital, so it's only natural that they'd be on guard. After a short while, the team landed one after another in a deep forest. This is presumably part of the Age jungle, and also part of the outer realm. The machines landed one after another in an area with tall trees and numerous rocks. The lush vegetation in this area provided excellent concealment for the machines, and it was also deep and secluded. It was indeed a place known as a secret base. It's nearby, Master Xingze. Let's park our machines here first, Zhou Qing said. I see, I said. Then, after parking their machines, the other members emerged one after another, and we did the same. A moment later, the green-haired Zhou Qing approached me and said, "This area is considered the outer perimeter of our secret base. Our main camp is deeper, let's go," I said. "Yes," Zhou Qing replied, and began to lead the way, guiding Guanling, me, and the other members behind us deeper into the woods. Along the way, we could see some remnants of human habitation. Following Zhou Qing, we advanced for a distance, arriving at a cavernous entrance near a massive tree. While the entrance wasn't small, it wasn't accessible to a robot. Moss and vines surrounded the entrance, suggesting an ancient site. We followed Zhou Qing into the cave. It was dimly lit, but a faint light from the front allowed us to see the path clearly. Not far away, several people wearing headbands or the Green Alliance crest on their arms stood guard. Seeing that it was Zhou Qing, they relaxed their guard. Then, a slightly overweight young man approached and asked, "Zhou Qing, who are those people behind us?" Despite his weight, he seemed quite sturdy and wary of Guanling and me. "It's our boss," Zhou Qing replied. Upon hearing this, the portly man in the green jacket glanced towards me, his eyes flickering slightly before he said, "Really? He looks quite young." "Age isn't a problem," Zhou Qing said. He then continued forward, passing the two lookouts. They both bowed slightly as I passed. As we continued forward, the cave's interior widened, a stark contrast to the narrow entrance outside. A short distance ahead, we could see a few houses in the distance. These seemed to be their camp. On either side were houses of varying sizes, seemingly improvised structures. Further in, there was an even larger structure. It was enormous, with a residence to the right, the size of a small fortress. "Lord Xingze, that's our main camp," Zhou Qing said. We arrived at the main camp one after another. Several mechas, each roughly C-shaped, could be seen nearby. This meant they couldn't enter through the previous entrance. "Where did the machines here come in from?" I asked. Regarding this, we just came to the intersection, which should be considered the front. In fact, there is a back door on the other side, where the machines can pass in, Zhou Qing explained. "I see," I said. "Then let's go to the main camp and meet the owner there first," Zhou Qing said. I nodded when I heard that, and then went to the gate there with her. Chapter 248 Master in Intelligence. The main compound of the base, slightly larger than the average villa, was clad in a white exterior. Zhou Qing led Guanling and me to the main gate, where a wide, antique-style wooden door stood before us. "This is our central base. Please follow me," Zhou Qing said. We then approached the main gate and unlocked it with a key. We followed Zhou Qing inside, where a bright white path lit by numerous incandescent lights appeared. We followed a white corridor and, reaching a nearby stairwell, Zhou Qing continued to lead the way. "Our master is on the second floor," Zhou Qing said. "I understand," I said. We ascended the second floor and continued along the corridor, passing several doors until we reached a room at the end. Led by Zhou Qing, they opened the door of the room and entered. Inside was an ordinary room with a set of tables and chairs near the window. It was quite spacious. A woman was sitting on a chair there. She had beautiful chestnut hair and a pretty face that looked mature. It was difficult to judge her age at the moment, but she was most likely between 20 and 35. "Master, the person here is the one who holds the key." Zhou Qing came to the master, lowered his head slightly to show more respect, and said, "Is this the man? It's the first time we meet. I am the secret commander of the Green Alliance." The woman said, "Hello, I am a student at the Holy Water Spirit College. My name is Xingze." I explained. "Who is the other one?" The woman looked at Guanling and asked, "I am Guanling. You didn't say your name." Guanling responded, "Wait, the person in front of you is the former leader of the Green Alliance. Don't be so rude." Zhou Qing responded quickly. Hearing this, the woman stretched out her hand to stop him and said, "I am Lin Feng Yinkrane, and now I am the commander-in-chief here." "Excuse me, did you summon me here?" I asked. Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right, you are the one who got the key, so, isn't it? I got the key in the center of the desert, but what is the relationship between the person who got the key and your summons?" I asked again. "The person who gets the key is the chosen one. You have the power and the destiny of saving nature." Lin Feng said. I understood what she meant. I would be carrying a heavy burden. Indeed, I was different now, but I still didn't understand the basis of what she said. "What is your basis?" I asked. "People are like this, often holding such doubts. Please pay attention to the west of this forest. There is a bad place there. Can you feel it?" Lin Feng pointed to the west and said, "A little bit, Xingze. I will take you to see it later. Something very bad has happened here. There is not much time." As the Green Alliance, it was originally the protector of the environment, but now, the upper level has been occupied by the accomplices of the first area. They are planning to carry out a very dangerous plan. After I knew about that, I quietly left there. "About that plan, is it related to the commander of the first area?" I said. "Yes, he is the mastermind. The execution of the plan should be soon, and the impact it will bring will be great." Lin Feng said, "Prunanes, it seems that you know a little bit, so make a decision quickly and join here as the core of the combat power. You and I can assign one internal and one external job. It's okay for you to command the people here according to the situation," Lin Feng said. Her clear eyes looked at me, and she seemed to trust me, or see through me. "I understand. I hope you can give me some time to think about this," I said. "No problem. Tonight I'll give you the information about that person's plan. You can give your reply after reading it carefully. This is the order." "I understand," Lin Feng said with a chuckle. Hearing this, I nodded, gave a forced smile, and said, "Let's do it." "The woman next to you, Miss Guanling, is she your companion?" Lin Feng asked doubtfully at this time. "Yes," I replied. Lin Feng looked at Guanling thoughtfully. It seemed that she had also noticed some abnormalities in Guanling and seemed a little cautious. "Understood, Zhou Qing. Please help the two of them to get a room to rest for the night," Lin Feng responded and instructed Zhou Qing on the other side. "I understand." Zhou Qing nodded slightly when he saw his master's instructions. "Then, we'll talk about the forest issue tomorrow. Today, please rest for the two of you," Lin Feng said. "Then I'll take my leave first," Zhou Qing responded and led us out of the room. Late at night, Zhou Qing assigned us rooms. Inside a building adjacent to the main camp, Guanling's room was some distance away from mine. Guanling was assigned to a building on the other side, housing the women. Guanling herself was aware of this. Those people were wary of her. At the entrance to the cave base, Zhou Qing handed us the room keys and said, "Is that all, Master Xingze?" "Yes, thank you for your hard work," I said. "No, I'll be leaving now," Zhou Qing said, heading off to the other side. By then, only a few patrolling guards remained around the base. The dim lights in the cave allowed us to clearly see the surroundings. Furthermore, the lights in the various buildings made it feel like a hidden underground street. Guanling and I then headed to our respective rooms. She remained silent throughout the walk. As we were about to part ways, she headed off, her back to me, her hand covering her head as she walked slowly. "Ling, are you okay?" I paused, glancing back and forth. She turned slightly and said, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's best to discard that power sooner rather than later," I said. I was referring to the demonic power within Guanling, which I'd already seen several times. Xingze, I know. Thank you for your concern," Guanling said with a rather cold smile. "After you've done what you need to do, discard it," Guanling said, then walked away. She had things to do, as did most people, including me. I couldn't control her now, so I should consider my options. I headed towards the building next to the base. The room was on the second floor, on the left. I opened the door with my key and walked in. Zhou Qing had previously given me the secret information about Area 1 in the form of a document. I sat down on the bed in the room. The time was 9:35 p.m. I opened the document package and took out the printed documents. I immediately began to examine the document. It was a lengthy document, almost as thick as a short story. I took off my coat and placed it on a nearby chair, then turned on the bedside lamp and began to read. The document primarily described the leader of the Anduin Area 1. On the surface, he was a man named Purin, known as the area chief. He occasionally strolled the streets and was well liked by the residents. That area was steeped in history and rich in culture. Purin was a respected figure of culture, occasionally engaging in friendly interactions with various religious groups. However, this Purin was merely a decoration, and the man's true identity was currently unknown. The beloved Purin could be a shadow warrior or some other kind of magician, a fact the organization could not confirm. However, his true identity was one of the earliest researchers of natural-shaped mechas. As the organization grew, he eventually ascended to the highest position in Area 1. On the dark side, he controls the creation of the Mecha. It's said he controls the light crystal, the core component required for the natural Mecha. According to various sources, 1. He discovered the crystal, 2. He possesses the technology to create it, and 3. He may be a key founder of the natural Mecha. From the dark side, he oversees the overall development of the Mecha. The natural Mecha is advertised to the outside world as a natural, environmentally friendly invention that requires little energy, yet possesses incredible power. The mystery of the natural Mecha quickly shrouded it in attention. After repeated testing, it has gained global recognition. Even so, the mystery of the light crystal remains unsolved by scientists. According to the Green Alliance's findings, the natural Mecha generally poses no threat to the environment. However, under special circumstances, the situation is different. Deep within the first zone, a secret Mecha production facility has recently been consuming large amounts of natural energy. This, like excessive deforestation, could lead to an imbalance in the natural ecosystem and the creation of disasters. It has been discovered that Purin's secret experiments have caused unimaginable damage to a portion of the forest. It's understood that unusual disasters have also occurred near the experimental site, including ground fissures and sinkholes. The unusual experiments, investigating the Green Alliance's hidden forces deep within the first area, uncovered a secret about Poland during the subsequent infiltration investigation. He appears to be planning a plan involving the sacred stone and the key. I've heard of that ancient legend, which seems to utilize the underground energy generated during the key's creation to construct something, perhaps a ritual, using the entire continent as a site, or some other structure. No key diagrams have been found, so we can't confirm the man's intended actions through the data. Furthermore, the details of his plan are unclear, but the timeline, based on the key's creation, suggests it's approaching. This is my general understanding from reading the materials. Chapter 249 The Missing Person. The next morning, I woke up and checked the clock. It was 6:45 a.m. Despite this, it was still quite dim, as I was still inside a stone cave. After a quick wash and change of clothes, I headed towards the other side of the hall. There, a table was laid out with food, looking quite plentiful. I wondered who had even prepared breakfast. This wasn't my home after all, so it felt a bit strange. I walked towards the dining table when, from the other side, towards the kitchen, a beautiful woman in an apron and green hair approached. At first glance, it was Zhou Qing, which puzzled me. Lord Xingze, good morning. I've prepared breakfast for you, Zhou Qing said. Thank you so much. What brought you to my room? I asked. I'm so sorry if I disturbed you. I believe preparing breakfast for you is only natural. Right now, there's no extra staff in the organization, so I'm here, Zhou Qing replied with a slight bow. Really? Thank you so much anyway, I said, sitting down at the table and immediately digging into my breakfast. Zhou Qing's dish was quite rich and the colors looked good, so I began to eat. Zhou Qing was still standing at the edge of the table, his hands clasped together. I paused in the middle of my rather brisk meal. What's wrong? Is the food bad? Zhou Qing asked. No, it's good, but there's plenty left on the table. You can eat too, I said. Really? Thanks for your concern. I'm fine. After that, I finished my breakfast as quickly as possible. I stood up to wipe myself off, grabbing a few tissues. Leave the cleanup to me. This morning's plan is to head to the West Forest. Any other plans? Zhou Qing asked. No, I'll be out for a bit before that, I said, then headed out of the room. For some reason, I couldn't seem to sense Guanling nearby, so I headed towards her. Indeed, she was in another small building not far away. I walked across to Guanling's room. It seemed to be a women's building, with the men occupying the lower floors. Guanling's room was on the second floor, as I had confirmed yesterday. I headed towards the corridor. It seemed late, around the time everyone should be getting up. On my way, I passed a few young women exiting their rooms. They seemed to be members of the Green Alliance. "Who's that?" someone asked. "That's Lord Xingze, who just arrived here last night. I saw him in the profile photo he sent me last night," another said. "No way, this is the real person. Why is he here?" "Our new king," the woman couldn't help but murmur. I ignored them and headed towards Guanling's room. Soon, I reached her door. It wasn't locked, so I pushed it open. No one was inside, the room was empty. Just as I'd suspected, she wasn't unconscious. I walked out of the room and into the hallway. There were a couple of women outside, watching me. They were probably wary of me, considering I was new and had barged in without permission. It was good enough that I wasn't misunderstood. "What are you looking for?" asked a brunette. I seemed to have seen her face before in the desert. "My apologies. There was a new woman staying here yesterday." "Did you see her leave?" I asked. "New? Was it the red-haired girl?" she replied. "Yes, that's right," I said. Meanwhile, a few women from the Green Alliance approached. One of them said, "I saw that red-haired woman earlier. She seemed to have left her room early this morning." "I was on patrol, is that so?" "Thank you," I said. After confirming Guanling was gone, I headed down the corridor, preparing to leave. "That person, our new king, is truly young and kind," one woman said. "You have good taste." "She's not just any ordinary person." After I left, several young women casually commented afterward. I asked around a bit, but everyone else concluded they didn't know Guanling's whereabouts. "So where did she go?" This posed a question. Yesterday, I mentioned some unfinished business, and beyond that, there were still many unsolved mysteries surrounding this person. Guanling, who was she? Thinking about this now might be pointless. Daybreak had arrived, and everyone in the base rose and began their work. I met Zhou Qing again afterward, explaining Guanling's disappearance. "Really, Master Xingze? If that person is so important to you, why don't we go to the main camp and ask the master? There are surveillance systems around here, and perhaps we'll find something," Zhou Qing replied. "Let's do that," I said. With that, we headed towards the main camp, entered the main gate, and walked one after another to the innermost room deep in the second-floor corridor. We opened the door and entered. Lin Feng was sitting in an office chair in the control room on the other side of the room. "Have you come over, Xingze? Have you reviewed yesterday's information?" Lin Feng said, turning around in the swivel chair she was sitting on. "Well, I've reviewed the information. I actually came here for another matter today," I said. "Really? What is it?" "About that red-haired girl who was following me, Guanling. Do you know where she went?" "I haven't seen her since this morning." "Is that so?" "There was indeed a record of someone leaving here this morning, but I don't know where they went. I think they left from the direction of the cave entrance." "Is that so?" I said. "Then it's my turn to ask the questions." "Have you decided?" Lin Feng asked me this time. Hearing this, I remained silent. Regarding the matter of that man, Pulin, and his connection to Guanling, as well as the other uncertainties, what that man wanted to trigger. If there were a choice to make, I wanted to understand this series of events. And right now, acting together with the people here is the best option. It's decided. "I will assist you," I said. "Thank you so much. If you need anything later, such as finding the whereabouts of that girl, we will also help," Lin Feng said. "Then I'm leaving it to you. Let's start today's action according to the next itinerary," I said. "Well, today I'll ask Zhou Qing to lead the way for you. The morning plan is to go to the west side of the forest, then, Master, we'll say goodbye first," Zhou Qing said. After saluting, he left there with me. Chapter 250, Abnormal Location in the Forest. Afterward, led by Zhou Qing and the other two Green Alliance members, we headed towards the western forest. The forest, west of our cave, could be reached from the hidden entrance. This was a shortcut, so Zhou Qing led us deeper into the cave. There were multiple forks in the road, making it a rather complex place. We walked for a while, then, after a winding path, gradually reached the cave's other exit. The sun shone through the branches of the trees as we emerged from the cave. The air outside was refreshing, though a little chilly. Something lay not far ahead. Master Xingze, it's cold, isn't it? Zhou Qing said. It's okay, let's keep going, I said. The strange spot is not far ahead, just a little further, Zhou Qing said. We continued on, entering the forest, heading deeper. After a short journey, just as Zhou Qing had predicted, we arrived at the site of the strange change. Many of the trees ahead were withered, unlike the winter cessation of growth. They were dying, their roots rotting, and the ground beneath them looked unhealthy. A hazy black aura emanated from the surroundings. As we walked toward the area, we could see the ground crumbling, with some trees fallen. The ground was soft and lacked nutrients. A little way ahead, there was a black spot. As we got closer, we could see it was a pit. The depth of the pit was impossible to determine with the naked eye due to the darkness, but it was likely quite deep. The ecological environment here is terrible, I said. Yes, it's a side effect of the experiment, Zhou Qing said. The black aura bears a resemblance to that of demonic beasts. I learned about the experiment from the information I received yesterday, and from what I can see, it might be related to demonic beings. Demons, by definition, are generally negative energies, such as jealousy, anger, and resentment. When such energies reach a certain level, they undoubtedly wreak havoc on nature and are a major cause of disasters. Not only that, but these changes are also causing the death or mutation of nearby creatures, Zhou Qing said. I've actually witnessed this kind of thing. Creatures transformed by being engulfed by the thick, black aura are also considered demonic beasts. Not far from me, a strange creature appeared, a mutated rodent with a dull gaze and an elongated body. It should be a weasel, but its appearance was different from a typical weasel, its gaze appearing fierce. Upon seeing us, it glanced at us for a few moments before fleeing. Observing further, I saw ants crawling in the sunken ground. Their skin, affected by the black aura, was slowly changing. This was indeed a heavily polluted forest area. I understand. This forest is truly in crisis. However, to improve it, we must eliminate the negative energy, demons, at its root. This is caused by human selfishness, and the ultimate mastermind is that man, Zhou Qing said. With these words, we continued forward. This area was the same, and there were even more severely polluted areas ahead. However, there were many spirits within this forest, but not around here. Perhaps due to the pollution, they had migrated elsewhere. The master of this forest seemed to be nearby. I glanced a short distance away and saw a colorful bird perched atop a large tree, just outside the polluted area, watching us. It was the master of the forest. I had seen it before, so I recognized it. Seeing me, it approached. That's the center point, the most severely affected, said a member following me. As we slowly advanced, we reached the largest sinkhole ahead. There, a wide, bottomless pit lay within. Really? This is probably the center point of the experiment, I asked. I'd seen a similar location not long ago, located at the Green Alliance's sub-base, in the jungle outside the New Century City. Lord Xingze, do you possess special powers? Can you restore this place? Zhou Qing asked with a slightly puzzled expression. Probably not. There are beings more skilled in this area than I am, I said. The being was now approaching us. What exactly is that? Zhou Qing asked, puzzled. Do you know of a forest god that rules over the forest? I asked. A forest god, Zhou Qing pondered, puzzled. Meanwhile, from the other side of the woods, a white squirrel approached. I recognized its squirrel. It was the master of the forest. Long time no see, Li Xingze, the white squirrel said, climbing over me, reaching my shoulder and gently tugging at my collar. Its greeting was a telepathic response, so the others beside me probably couldn't hear it, but it still caught my attention. You're right. Your forest has become dilapidated again after not seeing you for a while, I replied, also using my telepathic response. It can't be helped. But you've suddenly become different. You seem even higher in rank than me, it said. It was simply perched on my shoulder. Zhou Qing, watching from the side, couldn't help but ask, Master Xingze, what exactly is that white creature? Is it something you know? Could it be the king's power that's sending it here? The other two members asked in quick succession. Hearing this, I said, this white squirrel, it's from the forest. For a moment, Master Negela warned me not to reveal my identity to others, but there was nothing I could do in this situation. I was just one step away from being exposed. But Zhou Qing had already noticed the green-haired girl. Master of the forest, Zhou Qing couldn't help but wonder. She glanced at the squirrel, and the white squirrel nodded slightly, saying, "Please keep it a secret." When it came before humans, it was almost time to prepare for this. I didn't expect to meet the master. What an honor, Zhou Qing said, leaving the white squirrel speechless for a moment. Then he said, "There's nothing we can do if it is exposed. Please be careful with your words." I understand, Zhou Qing and two members on the side nodded in succession. Compared to this, the owner of the forest is really small and can't be seen. Chen Xianguang, a brown-haired female member on the other side, said, "The purpose is not to be able to see, isn't it?" Another member said, "You are really mischievous guys. The situation here is not good now," the white squirrel said. "Then, can't you repair it here?" "I heard from Lord Xingze that you have such power," Zhou Qing asked. "The power to repair does exist, but if the root cause of the problem is not solved, it will be useless even if it is forced to get better." "Really? What do you think is the source of the problem?" Zhou Qing asked. "It's humans," the white squirrel replied. "Our fault." The brown-haired female couldn't help asking, "It's not like that. If it was just this level of forest pollution, it would be okay. It's just because of the evil seeds planted by humans. The disaster that will be caused next is not simple." "As the master, I can't stand it anymore," the white squirrel said. "Sure enough." "What happened some time ago?" I said. "Well, I'd like to go underground with you to discuss the details with the god of the land," the white squirrel said. "Really? That's fine. What about the other three?" I said, referring to Zhou Qing and the other three. Nebula understood and said, "You three should wait above ground. Xingze and I will go together. I'll tell you the conclusion later if I want to hear it. After all, going underground isn't easy for everyone." "Really? We understand, Master," Zhou Qing replied, understanding. The white squirrel then leaped from my shoulder and headed towards the massive sinkhole ahead. It stopped in the pitch-black darkness and said, "We need to go down here. Because of the sinkhole, we can go deep underground. You three can't do anything about it. The contaminated air in the tunnel is very strong. I can purify it, but coming here would only increase the risk." "Really? We understand," the brown-haired woman nodded, understanding what Nebula said. The three of them then watched us go. At this moment, Nebula and I stood beside the sinkhole. Nebula said, "Are you ready, Xingze? We're going to jump in together." I nodded slightly. "Yes, no problem." Then, as Nebula spoke, he leaped into the pitch-black cave entrance. I followed suit, almost simultaneously. In the pitch-black tunnel, we continued to plummet downward. Nebula's figure radiated a pure white light, illuminating the surroundings. We both dived deeper into the darkness. We descended a long way underground. It seemed that the Master's light had largely dispelled the dark, negative energy surrounding the tunnel. Then, in a dim area, after descending a slope, we reached the tunnel's end. Ahead lay a dead end, surrounded by mud and gravel. "Is it the end?" I said. "No, not yet." Nebula reached the blocked tunnel and lightly touched the dirt in front of him. As if summoning something deep underground with his mind, the dirt and rubble ahead suddenly collapsed. Even the dirt beneath our feet sank in. We continued to descend deeper into the tunnel. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.